right, successful. Let's see if that works. Can you see or hear me right now? Audio and video, excellent. How's my volume level? We doing okay? All right, beautiful. Well, welcome everybody back to Paleontologizing. Welcome to beautiful southern Wyoming. Welcome to a live dinosaur dig where we're excavating the remains of what should be a new species of duckbill dinosaur. I'm excited to show you around, but first let me introduce myself real quick to anybody who might be new in the chat. My name is Danny Anduza. I'm a dinosaur paleontologist, and I'm here on Twitch trying to do some good old-fashioned science outreach. So true science outreach means reaching new people, you know, not preaching to the choir, so to speak, and Twitch is a wonderful place to do that. So I'm glad I could be here on this platform, and I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad we're both here out in the field doing paleontological fieldwork live. My name is Danny Anduza. I'm a dinosaur paleontologist. Did I just say that? Sorry. It's been a long day already, but things are good. We just got a visit from our friends at the BLM a little while ago. That's why I'm a little bit late. From the Bureau of Land Management. These lands, protects them, and grants us permits to be able to conduct here, to collect fossils, all that good stuff. In the U.S., we are blessed to have a lot of public land, especially here out in the Rocky Mountain West. Wyoming has got a lot of federal land, Bureau of Land Management land, and we're really proud to work with the BLM, get our permits, and take these things up the right way. Every fossil that we collect this summer, and all the summers that are out here, are going to a couple of different museums, so they'll be held in the public trust in perpetuity. That's what it's all about, you know? Yeah. Anyway, in just a minute, I'm gonna take you down there to the site, and we'll take a look at our duckbill dinosaur excavation. This is the Purple Puzzle site again. And then just down in that gully there, we also have Mandy and Jesse, who are working on a fossil turtle that Nick found the other day, which is pretty exciting. I don't know if we'll get signal down there. We might try and make a little jaunt, but my little satellite dish might not be able to broadcast all the way down there, so we'll see. No promises. Anywho, who have we got in the chat? Claire Burr and the Lenina, how are you both doing? Thank you so much for all of your hard work moderating. I appreciate you more than you know. We've got Ang Hamarand. Hello, hello. Utah Raptor 14. It sounds like you're in the right place. We will be in Utah later this summer, digging in the same formation that Utah Raptor was found, the Cedar Mountain Formation. And Utah State paleontologist Jim Kirkland, who discovered Utah Raptor, might be on the crew with us this year. We'll see. And we've got Vexy and Kodali, Crimson Carnotaurus. How is everybody? Hello, hello. Sloppy Salamander, just home from work? Excellent. Glad you're here, Salamander. And Vexy says, is this a different turtle than the one found yesterday? Yes, this is a different site. Yeah, so we're here at the Purple Puzzle site here, which is a bit more remote than the Ankylosaur site. But we've got a big fossil turtle. It looks almost complete, like a whole carapace there, just down there. That Mandy is working on. You can see her in the white hooded shirt down there. Yeah, good stuff. That's pretty exciting. So she's trying to find the edges of it right now. Hello to you, Paleontologist VA. Howdy, howdy. And good stuff. Yeah, and Utah Raptor 14, I will certainly mark it on my calendar. Yeah, July 16th should be my first stream from the Cedar Mountain Formation in Utah. And we'll be going through maybe like August 15th. We'll see how long we're out there. Yeah. Finding so many new fossils this year? Absolutely, Billy C. Yes, indeed. That's what it's all about. So it's all Pennsylvanians on the crew today. We've got Colin here. How you doing, Colin?
Good. How are you doing, David?
Yeah, doing well, thanks. We got Eric here.
Hello.
One of our returning champions, along with Nick here. How you doing, Nick?
I'm doing well.
Yeah. So this looks pretty different than it did a few days ago, as you can tell. We've cleared a lot more of this matrix away, and we've just got this big blob that is chock full of duckbill dinosaur bone.
Too much bone.
Which is really exciting.
But also not enough bone.
Yeah. So we've got lots of fragments of bone here. This almost looks like a section of rib right there. That's what I would say it is, probably.
Yeah.
A lot of rib ribs on these guys.
I found another part.
Found more rib right here.
Very nice. That's a new development?
Yes.
Yeah, nice.
Been little pieces.
Excellent. And then we've got what looks like some limb bone up there, all kinds of hard to figure out stuff. And this right here, I wish I had my laser pointer with me. A super bright one. But yeah, thank you. My Vanna White here. We've got a femur, what looks like a femur at least, thigh bone of a duckbill dinosaur, which is enormous. This is way bigger than my thigh bone. This indicates, you know, if this is all from one animal, it's a big animal. Holy cow. We're talking like maybe Edmontosaurus sized for this duckbill. Pretty cool. So, yeah, oh man. We're pretty lucky. Not a whole ton of overburden at this site, not like the Ceratopsian site.
Don't bring that up. Do not bring that up.
It's this is much easier to work than that one, and yeah. But man, is this potentially going to be a huge jacket? I was trying to find a way to maybe cut this in half earlier today. I don't know if that's going to work. I think this has all got to be one jacket here. We might need a helicopter to get this thing out. So. We'll see.
Not an exaggeration.
No, seriously, yeah. We might ask the BLM, our friends there at the Bureau of Land Management, to lend us a chopper. Yeah, that's all I'll do of that impression right now. It wasn't even any good, but that's all you get for the moment. Claire says you have to stream that. I would like to. I would need special permission from the BLM though, so we'll see. That would be next year, because this is the beginning of fire season here. They need the helicopter for fire reasons, putting out fires presumably. So yeah, but that would be probably next summer. We'd get this thing lifted out, and that would be quite the event. Yeah. Anyhow, and maybe an Edmontosaurus itself. It's possible, Crimson Carnothoris. This could be like an earlier species of Edmontosaurus, but we kind of, I don't know. Edmontosaurus might come over from Asia around this time. This guy might be like a homegrown North American hadrosaur, sort of like Critosaurus or something like that. Although, yeah, we've got Critosaurus, what, Navajo? Nick, you might know this from like New Mexico?
Correct.
Yeah, it's from South America too, right?
Well, there are Critosaurini.
Critosaurins. Okay, so members of the same family, not Critosaurus proper. Okay, gotcha.
All you get for my little thesis project.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing with us that tidbit at least. Yeah. So this might be similar to that dinosaur, but we'd expect it to be new. So pretty exciting. Yeah. I might be doing a little bit of digging. Might even start working on that bench, the one that Craig was working on earlier. But yeah. I hope we get plenty of good questions in the chat. I know it's a Saturday, and Saturday streams are often not as well attended. People are out doing things on the weekend. You know, they're not sitting around in the office watching Paleontologizing on their second monitor. You know how it goes. Boss makes $1, I make a dime, so I watch Paleontologizing on company time. Not so many folks doing that today, I presume. So don't expect as many viewers, but we'll see. Yeah. And Dr. Terminator says, I'm not sure how many gaming paleontologists are currently in the field, but just wanted to shout out that shout out from the land of the internet that the trailer for Jurassic World Evolution 3 is out, just to let them know.
We were actually just talking about that.
Were you?
Oh,
Okay.
Nick wasn't lying.
Yeah?
I'm a gamer, so.
Nice. Are all three of you people of the video game?
Yes.
Yeah.
I know
I do a little video game here.
Video games? Yeah. Nice. Well, is the trailer any good?
Got baby dinos.
Oh, we've got ontogeny finally?
Triceratops looks pretty solid, I'll say
Nice.
that. And sexual dimorphism.
Interesting, which we don't have evidence for, at least skeletally, but at least the coloration. You've got like male and female different colors, maybe?
The only ones I've seen was Triceratops. The males were a little bit bulkier. I think they had a bigger brow horn.
Interesting.
Not too sure.
Which is funny because we don't have evidence of that in the
Yeah.
fossil record, but they were almost certainly different colors, at least for some dinosaurs. But yeah, interesting.
At least they have feathered guanlong. So.
Do they?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, you can't have guanlong without feathers. But yeah. Claire Burr says, if you aren't getting into Triceratops ontogeny, you are way out of the cool loop. I agree. All the cool kids are talking about Triceratops ontogeny. Yeah.
Well, I guess I'm not cool.
Change that. Yeah.
Oh.
Two different sides of the coin.
But, yeah. Anyhow, let me go get my water bottle and questions. Pimpcat says, this dig brought to you by Kellogg's Raisin Bran with 2 scoops. You know, yeah, our friend from the BLM was making that same joke earlier today. So, maybe something in the air today.
This is how we harvest the raisins.
There you go, yeah.
It's actually just rat turds.
And, yeah, Pillows Rose says, other streams had audio issues. I'm sorry to hear that. We will have some kind of technical issue on today's stream. It wouldn't be a field stream if we didn't. But we might even force a technical issue. We might try and go down there to go... there's Mandy waving to us. We might see if the signal holds so we can go take a look at the turtle with Mandy. But I kind of doubt it will hold. It's
awesome TV show.
tiny little satellite dish. I don't know if the Wi-Fi radio on that is big enough to be able to transmit all the way down to the turtle. But, yeah, good stuff. You'd love to see the turtle too? It is really pretty, Jazzy Cat. It's kind of nuts. In fact, right now. Oh, and is that my Auntie Kathy in the chat? I'm glad you're here. Good stuff. What kind of turtle, says Dr. Terminator? A dead one. Yeah, it's been dead
I don't know this.
for a little while. I don't know.
It's not moving.
Yeah.
It's just brumating.
But it looks to me almost kind of like basilemes from the Hell Creek Formation. So big, almost a tortoise-like turtle. But I don't know. It's not a soft-shelled turtle. I know that. It's not a trionychid. It's one of these tortoisey looking guys who aren't actually related to tortoises. The big land ones, exactly, Dr. Terminator, yeah. Let's actually venture down there and see if the signal holds. I don't expect it to, so if it cuts out, let me know. But, yeah. We'll try it without expecting it to work. I'll be very impressed if it does. I do have the satellite dish on a stand up there, so that should increase our range, but that's a solid probably 200 feet away. Yeah, I don't think it'll do that. Let's go for it. Yeah. Oh, and Honor Draco says, hi, Nick and everyone. Yeah.
Hi, Shane.
Nick's doing pretty well here.
Yes, I am.
Yeah. So, yeah, anyway, let's go attempt some turtle time. Again, don't be disappointed if it doesn't work. I don't expect it to, but we'll try it. And I'll try not to tumble down the hill while streaming it live. But this is going to be a test of the range of our dish. Poke our way along here carefully. The usual route to the turtle. Let's see. Very steep. So far, so good, I think. Yeah, and scratchy bushes. Yeah, that's much more of this sagebrush through here. Which, does anybody in the chat know if sagebrush is related to sage, the herb?
It is not.
It is not. Thank you, Mandy.
Yep, the herb is in the mint family.
In the mint family.
Yep, and then these are in the sunflower family.
The sunflower. Is that Asteraceae?
Yes.
Yeah. Nice.
That is exactly right.
So cool to have a plant expert with us here. And still good. Oh, and we're getting a raid from that Texas. If the signal cuts out here. Cross your fingers it doesn't. Gonna give it a shot. But how was your stream, Texas Cryptid? I hope it was really good. Welcome to Paleontologizing. Welcome to the field. We're gonna go try and check out this fossil turtle, and we'll see if the Wi-Fi holds or if it conks out. Pretty far from the dish up there. Should be better when we get across this this little gully. Okay, fingers. Let's see. Was a little jittery right now. Hopefully it gets better. We should have a clear line of sight to the dish here. Yeah. Man, I'm impressed it hasn't completely cut out.
Amazing.
Wow.
All right.
There we go. Mandy, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I think this is one of the favorite fossils that I've ever worked on.
This is pretty awesome.
I
Holy
think
cow.
it's just really fun.
This
and
is also
really
the
cool.
first articulated turtle I've ever worked on or really seen in the field.
That's incredible.
Nuts.
We haven't found any limb bones, and it's not looking like we're going to find any of the head or tail. But we're keeping an eye out.
Nice.
Yeah.
And it looks like we're getting the edges here, so.
Yes, I think we are getting to the edges of the block. So
Beautiful.
yeah, if you notice, it's oriented kind of like this, as are some of these blocks that are
Yeah.
tumbling down the slope, and the whole slope is oriented like this. But the rocks are dipping like this.
So you think this is shunted from up
yeah,
there?
we think it's a block that came down from higher up and landed
Nice.
here, rather than being in the bedrock, because it should be oriented that way if it were in the
Right.
bedrock. Yep.
Cool. So we're lucky to have gotten this when we did. It's just on its way down the hill.
Nick was over here prospecting. You just met Nick, and he just saw this portion, and this white patch is what caught his eye. And then he found a few loose pieces on the ground near it, and that's all that was exposed. And I think he was really hoping it was a dinosaur bone, but
Yeah.
from what I've seen, Ethan is way more excited that it's a turtle than
Yeah.
a dinosaur.
Yeah, it would probably have been another hadrosaur, which would have been cool, but like we don't have any complete turtles from the Almond Formation yet, so this is pretty special.
The thing I'm loving about it is I can just envision this whole animal really easily.
Yeah.
One bone, it's hard for me to reconstruct in my mind a whole animal, and this is just so beautiful, and I can just imagine this walking across the landscape.
I just want to pick it up and give it a hug.
I want to take it home, make an aquarium for it. Yeah.
Can you like point out the extent of the carapace
Yeah,
here?
okay, so I am not a turtle expert, so I'm doing my best here, but I think what we're seeing is this is the head end up here, and the carapace traces around this way, and we're thinking this marks the edge of it, and then
Okay,
this
that
is the
makes
rock
sense.
that it's embedded in.
Yeah.
It kind of flares out at the base here, and then tracks back up over here. And here the rock is kind of abutting it. I don't know if we're going to try and lift it or let someone in the lab do that part, but following it back up here to the head again.
Nice. So just the whole top of a turtle.
Yeah,
Really cool.
it is really cool.
Shoot. Yeah, and I'm trying to figure out what kind it is. It doesn't look like a soft-shelled turtle, like a trionychid. The texture isn't right for that. I don't know if the shape is right. I bet you this is one of those big land turtles, sort of like basilemes or something. But
That would be so cool. Like I said, I
yeah.
am not an expert,
I'm not
but
an
to me
expert
it does
either,
not
yeah.
look like an aquatic thing either to
yeah,
me. So
yeah,
yeah,
very, very cool.
yeah, I'm excited.
I love how excited you are about this. Like, it makes me really happy too.
I would just stay
Like-
here and work on this all day, every day. If I was left to my own devices, I think I would camp with it. Yeah, we would just be
Pretty
together.
special. Yeah. Have you come up with a name yet?
No, I'm
Don't
not
wanna get
going
too
to.
attached.
Yes,
Yeah.
no, yeah.
Yeah.
But I am. I would love to see it as it continues to evolve
Yeah.
and get prepped out, because I think it's going to be beautiful.
Very cool. And presumably this is going to Pittsburgh, right? So you will be able to check on it. I hope.
Yay! That's yep. I can
Yeah.
just come see it at my own museum.
Super cool. Yeah. That's awesome. Oh, would you like to introduce yourself to anybody who might be new in the
yeah.
chat?
My name's Mandy Lyon, and I work in the education field. I'm a museum educator, and I help run our field trip programs and our loan program, all of these materials that go out on loan at the museum. But my background's in paleobotany, so I studied fossil plants a long time ago.
So Mandy's a great ally to us out here in the field, being an expert on fossil plants, or knowing much more about fossil plants than all the rest of us combined. I'll say that at least. So yeah, and being able to watch over our turtle during the day and
Yeah.
find the edges of it and all that good stuff.
Get it figured
This
out.
this is really exciting.
Yeah, and I, being no expert, don't know if these ridges on either side are anything important or just places where things have broken away.
Right, yeah.
My eye wants to see like ribs and part of the backbone, but I am not letting myself be too excited until it gets prepped out.
Spoken like a true scientist. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks so much for showing us.
Oh, no,
And
thanks for coming over.
I'm also really happy that held out this long, because again, way up there is the dish. It's just impressive. I'm happy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Very
well,
cool.
hopefully people will get to see it in another state before you're done streaming out
Exactly,
here.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
maybe we can send you some photos as it gets prepped out, and
That
you
would
can
be
add
awesome.
it to your
I'd really appreciate
channel
that,
later.
yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Very cool. Thanks, Mandy.
Yeah, thanks,
Appreciate
Danny.
it. Yeah. Very, very cool. Oh man, that's so exciting.
It's
So
so cool.
it is, and like there again, chance it could be a new species. Ethan was saying it looked almost kind of like DINOSAUR Emmys, I think, which is a turtle that's known from the southwestern United States, from the, I think, like the Campanian stage of the Cretaceous. But yeah, it could also be something new. We're not really sure. Good stuff. Yeah. And and Claire, I could put together a command for that if you remind me. It would be nice to have just like a quick little blurb that we can share about how this area was, why we're digging here in the Almond Formation and all of that. But yeah. And Vexy says, are turtles more rare to find than dinosaurs? They're not. But this is our first turtle that we have that's not exploded, which is exciting. They do tend to disarticulate, to put it gently, to fall apart. So we've got lots and lots of pieces of turtles, particularly from like Turtle Hill, which I might be streaming from there tomorrow. I can show you. But yeah, this is our first like big, beautiful, fairly complete turtle, at least complete turtle carapace. So pretty stoked about that. Yeah. Coltrane, you just missed the turtle. I'm sorry. Hopefully somebody clipped it. But yeah, I got to go back up to our duckbill dinosaur, and I'll probably lose you for a second as we go out of sight of the satellite dish and the router. But I should be right back. So nobody panic. Here, let's go down there, and that should be an easier way up. Okay. As you can tell, this is pretty rugged territory. And pretty hardy creatures surviving out here in the summer heat and the dry, in the winter snow and cold. These plants have to withstand it all. My hat is off to them. I don't know if I could live out here all year round. This area is beautiful in the summer, and I love digging here, but I don't think I'd want to live here during the winter. Oof. I lived in Montana for the better part of a decade. Those winters were harsh. And yeah, I much prefer winters back home in my native California. All right, here's our hadrosaur site.
How's turtle looking?
Great. Yeah, Mandy managed to find some of the edges around it, so if we can get it out without jacketing it, which would be really nice. We'll see. Yeah. It made it. Yeah, Dustosaurus. There we go. turtle site down there on the other side of the ravine. Good stuff.
Came down this road and went by.
A ranger did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Awesome. They looked like they had a BLM vehicle or something?
Yeah, it had a
Yeah.
crest on the side.
Nice. Cool.
Just in case.
Yeah, we might get a visit from some more friends at the BLM.
Does your
Yeah.
stream want to see some leaves?
Leaves, of course we
Get
do.
them ready for Turtle Hill tomorrow.
Yeah.
Put up this big iron chunk.
Here, I'll scoot back down so you can get across, yeah. Oh, look at that. Yeah. I saw a leaf there. Look at the veins inside. More up here. These are beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another one right here. I bet you these are the same kind that Mandy was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully they don't fade too much. You got this out pretty recently, right?
Yeah, pretty recently.
Yeah.
Just flipped it up.
They have it stuff like after a while.
So we'll see how they hold up in the day, but
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
nice imprint of them. So
Very nice.
We'll take it back with us.
Sounds good.
You want to wrap that up in...
I don't know if that would help right now to keep them from fading. We should have some fixative spray or something. We should talk to Mandy about picking some of that up in town. Yeah. Yeah. And
So many leaves tomorrow.
Otto the Potato says, would be interesting to visit Wyoming. Never been in that part of the world. Fascinating lithology? Absolutely, yeah. There's a lot to recommend here in Wyoming. Especially if you're interested in geology or fossils, for that matter. If you do end up visiting, there's a book that I can recommend to you called Roadside Geology of Wyoming. So as you're driving around through the state's highways, each chapter is like, it'll be like Casper to Cheyenne. And it'll list all of the interesting geological features and stuff like that that you can see right from the roadside. It's pretty neat. Yeah. And Cepheid Variable says, in fossilization, do any of the original atoms remain? Yeah, most of them. And it was kind of dumb, but I think it'd be cool if we could point to some carbon atoms or oxygen about those atoms from the living creature itself. Absolutely. So here, with our hadrosaur, if we pick up a chunk of bone, I'm going to pick up this chunk of rib here. So this has been heavily permineralized. So some of the original material has been replaced by minerals in the groundwater and in the surrounding rock. But there is some of the original dinosaurs still in here. Like the original hydroxyapatite in the bone, that should still be in here. Just kind of accented, if you will, by those other minerals in the ground. So pretty cool. Let's see. That was right here?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Yeah. Good stuff. Yeah. And yeah. Astoria says, "You make my night so peaceful." Thanks for saying that. Yeah. We're generally not very warlike around here, at least not on camera. Ceratopsian side, I've heard, is
Keep bringing it up.
It's a different story. Yeah.
When we send the army back out there, you'll have to come
Yeah.
and see the.
I would like to be able to stream at least some of the overburden madness at the Ceratopsian site. That would be significantly less peaceful than what we've got going here. But yeah, it's a neat pose you got going there, Nick.
Yeah, I feel like Jeff Goldblum, right? I'm gonna unbutton.
Mine is a little bit of charisma, just a little bit.
Yeah. Mr. Proxtor says, "Who is funding the dig?" We've got some very generous donors back in Pennsylvania, in Pittsburgh, who are helping to fund this operation. And yeah, you're waving. Is that you, Eric?
Yeah, Pittsburgh.
Oh, I thought you meant you're one of the generous donors.
Oh, no.
No, he's a starving scientist like the rest of us. But yeah.
You use that term too? Starving scientist?
Oh yeah, all the time. Yeah, I think it's probably pretty widespread. it's a common sentiment.
Fortunately, right now.
Yeah. But yeah, Princeton Nerdist is starving scientist. That's my life, lol. Oh yeah. But yeah, we are all donating our time here, Joan and Jan. That is true. None of us are getting paid to be here, except me. But that's through Twitch. So, yeah, I'd be getting paid whether or not I'm here. If I were streaming from my office, you know, probably be getting paid a little bit more actually, because I could pay more attention to chat, and we've got all those fun alerts and stuff like that. But yeah, Prince Nanerda, thank you for subscribing though. See, this is what I'm talking about. 5 months you've been keeping me off the streets with your donations. I appreciate it. Helping to feed this starving scientist. Thank you, thank you. It means a lot. Yeah. Liked it last year. Oh, sounds good, Claire. Yeah, I'll see if I have time for that later. If I can fire up the internet when we're in camp. But yeah. Alexander Morrison says starving paleontologist and equally starving paleo artists. Yeah, paleo art might even be more difficult to make a living in, honestly. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have firm numbers on that. Thank you, Prince Nanerda. I appreciate you. Let me go get some more water, and then we'll poke around the site some more. Maybe I'll do some digging. Yeah. I think we got a raid earlier from Science Streams, by the way, as we were trying to cross that ravine. Science Streams, Balint, I hope you're doing great. Hope you had an excellent stream. I hope both of the kiddos are getting along with each other, and yeah. I hope life is good. Yeah. And Golganek, thank you for reposting it. My child now carries a mustard bottle that we have to have in the sandbox. I like that. Your kids playing paleontologist, and mustard bottle is one of the essential tools. I think that's pretty neat. Yeah, it's funny. It is one of the most eye-catching items that we have in the quarry. Bright yellow like that. Yeah. That makes me smile. Yeah. Good stuff. But yeah. Let's go get some water. There's my water there. Yeah, so we were at the Ankylosaur site yesterday, talking about armored dinosaurs, talking about armored fishes like those gar, talking about all kinds of stuff. They are continuing to work there today. I don't know when Ceratopsian crew will be sent back to Ceratopsian purgatory, but that'll be probably sometime soon. And I might make my way to Turtle Hill tomorrow, if it pleases the expedition lead. Be cool to go back. I really like Turtle Hill. Yeah, I'll go get my visual aids up there too. So if people have got questions, I will have ways to show and not just tell, as I like to do. All right, and here's a dig site. Dad is not authorized to look at it. Dad's got to get his permits in order from the proper officials. I like that. Here, I think visual aids are in here. I'm really proud of myself this year for having windowed down my field gear to just 2 like that. Whoop. Can fit my foldable solar panels, foldable by the wind too, it seems. Here, let's put this over like this so it doesn't fold. Yeah, the solar battery and the camera and encoder and everything fit into just 2 of these cases last year. We had a much bigger satellite dish, which required a much larger battery and much larger solar panels. This year, it's just 2 little cases, which is excellent. And, oh, not that one. It's in the other one. Should have our visual aids in here. There we go. Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. But it does make me really happy that, I don't know, it's just so much easier to carry. I can set things up at the site more easily. It's just, you know, I prefer things that are compact and travel ready. It's a good thing for sure. Yeah. And anywho, yeah. So as a little introduction to anybody who might be new here, or you know what? Maybe we'll save that for when we get a big raid. But I've got these visual aids here. I'll at least show you this. We've got a lovely skeleton of a duckbill dinosaur here. This is by Scott Hartman, skeletaldrawing.com. Shout out to him. I think this is either Gripposaurus or Critosaurus. I think Gripposaurus here. Yeah. So this is a similar animal to the one that we're digging up here. Kind of walk you through the skeleton. Oh, it would look something like this in life. Yeah, so there's two of them right there. And that's a pretty good approximation of what this ancient habitat would have been like. Very flat at the time, very near to the coast. Plants and trees and ferns and all kinds of stuff like that would have been food for these guys, these herbivorous duckbill dinosaurs. Saurolophine hadrosaurs. That's what we think we've got here. Really lucky, it could turn into a Lambeosaurian hadrosaur, which we don't have yet. Time and more blood, sweat, and tears will tell. Yeah, Princeton, I've never found any Eurypterids. No, I've never worked in Paleozoic rocks. No. But when we were in St. George the other month with Andrew Milner, Eurypterids are like some of his favorite critters, and he hasn't found any in Utah yet, but I think he's found some in Canada. Yeah. And is Gripposaurus known from nearby areas from this time? Sort of, Crimson Carnotaurus. We've got Gripposaurus monumentensis from, I think, southern Utah. I want to say it's from the Kaiparowitz Formation. Although, don't quote me on that. And then we've got Gripposaurus notabilis, maybe?
Correct.
Yeah? Thank you. Gripposaurus notabilis from up in Montana. The Judith River Formation, and I've actually helped dig some of those up before at the rocky bone bed. Was that Gripposaurus or was that Brachylophosaurus? I think it was Gripposaurus. You get both of them around there, but they're both pretty similar to this. So yeah, lovely duckbill dinosaurs. Always a good time when you've got a hadrosaur around. And Golganek says, didn't Andrew work the Burgess for a bit? Yeah. And so Andrew Milner worked in the Burgess Shale for quite a while, I think. Found a lot of cool stuff. That's a really famous fossil site up in British Columbia, I believe, in Yoho National Park up in Canada. And really, really famous fossil site from the Cambrian. All kinds of weird critters there. And yeah, that was a formative experience for Andrew, for sure. He actually named one of his children Burgess. He's got a son named Burgess after the Burgess Shale. So, yeah. Good stuff. So let's go take a look at our duckbill dinosaur here.
Come on over, he's quacking.
So we'll take a look at our skeletal drawing. There we go. So, let's see how many of these bones in the diagram we can match to ones that we have here. We've got ribs, first of all, like this right here. Would you like to hold that real quick, Eric? Thank you. Yeah. So we've got a chunk of rib. Let's show the kind of the interior of the rib. There we go. Cross section right there. Yeah. So just like us, these guys have also got ribs, although they have both. We just call them dorsal ribs. In humans, we have our lumbar and thoracic vertebrae, and we only have ribs that attach to the thoracic vertebrae. We move about halfway down the dorsal verts, and there's no more ribs attached to them. And these guys, there's ribs that go all the way to the sacrum, basically. So lots of ribs for these guys. And you found a new one over here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is pretty exciting. Right here.
Dinosaur ribs taste like.
This is just a little while ago that Eric uncovered this. So the knob here is just chock full of bones, which might be kind of an issue because Normally we want to make a protective field jacket around a spot so close together. You kind of have to put them all in the same field jacket, and so this might be a huge jacket here, like I was saying. We very well might need a helicopter for this. So, yeah, pretty nuts. And then we've got some limb bones here. This could be, we're not really sure what this is. That could be a metatarsal on top of a coracoid, or this could be part of an ilium or something like that. If it's part of the ilium, that would be this bone up here, the one at the top of the hips. Yeah. And then we've got what looks like another limb bone here. That could be a big metatarsal. It could also be a humerus. The humeri on these guys are not very long. Like, they've got kind of a small humerus compared to the rest of the bones. Yeah, so
Funny dinosaurs.
I wouldn't be shocked if this is, yeah, our upper arm bone, our humerus. What'd you say, Colin?
Not very funny dinosaurs.
No, they're not. Yeah, not big humerus.
That was a bad joke.
You know, we subsist on what we can out here. We're in the middle of the desert, and jokes aren't, falling off of trees or anything. This very well could be a phalanx or maybe a metatarsal right here. You see that round bit right there? Looks nice and round. So that is like a joint. It could be one of these big toe bones, or one of. And then down here by Nick, we've got this gargantuan bone, which the more I look at it, the more I'm convinced that it is a femur. It could be, if this is all one bone. Nick's right hand up there, all the way here. This could be one huge femur.
And as big as me.
Yeah. In a dinosaur like this, so it could be the femur, which is, let me point to it.
Over here that I just unearthed.
Oh, great.
It's coming in.
There's the femur right there, thigh bone. Or, potentially, I don't know, I could also see this as a tibia, which is the big bone in the shin right there. Which is just about as long as the femur in these animals. It's huge.
a real shindig.
Yeah. There you go.
That was worse.
But, yeah, so that could be right there. But either way, this is, looks like it's gonna be a big animal. This is not a small critter. This is a big one.
This is not a small critisaurin.
No. Yeah.
And that was the worst.
That
That was the worst.
You see you've got a new bone over there, Nick?
Yeah, I think two.
Okay.
So right here and right here.
Ooh.
So
There's just bone everywhere. This is nuts.
yeah.
So we really need to take this down. There's probably bone under this too.
Yep.
I'm really hoping that this doesn't all turn into one enormous jacket, but it might, and then we would need a helicopter. Yeah. Which, complain about needing a helicopter, like about having a helicopter. It's needing a helicopter that's the problem,
Craig was saying it would take a whole year of paperwork to get it done.
Yeah, which we could do, Yeah. We got our permits and everything in order. We've got a really good relationship with the Bureau of Land Management. But the thing is, a helicopter lift, I don't know, that might give away our position, so to speak. Like, you would need there would be a lot of people involved with that, and so the idea of keeping it on the down low that we've got dinosaurs here, that might be tricky. So we'll
strap Colin on top of the jacket so it looks like he's getting rescued.
Yeah.
It's a new technique where we just have plastered cases or beds that we put people in.
I was thinking we could just steal a helicopter.
We'll just put a gurney with a dummy on top and be like, oh yeah, we're doing a rescue mission. This guy got a really bad paper cut out here and needed to be airlifted to a flatbed truck for some reason. Yeah.
Give me back to my truck, please.
Yeah, and it would be, Lenina, a rescue drill. This would be like a training mission that they would do for their helicopter crew, which would be pretty cool. Again, we're really lucky that we've got good folks that we're friends with at the Bureau of Land Management. Yeah. Deathsaurus says, tell them to send a stealth fighter to keep it secret. Somehow I don't think, big F-117 flying over southern Wyoming, that might draw more attention than.
I think he's onto something.
Yeah. Also, I don't think those have vertical takeoff and landing, so we would have to rig up some sort of big hook that it could snag as it's flying super low over the ground. It just doesn't sound practical, you know? Sorry. Yeah.
Let him dream.
But yeah. And Jazzy Cat says, can you visualize how the dinosaur lays in that area and what it says about how it ended up there? I wish I brought my little dry erase board with some markers, and I can kind of draw for you how these are laid out right now, but we can just kind of look. So imagine, if you're watching at home, see if you can contort your body into this shape right now. For the faint of heart, but any accomplished yoga might be able to do it. So you've got one thigh bone right here. So stick your thigh out to the side there. And then you've got some ribs here and some ribs there, and they're broken and going in different directions.
So break your ribs.
So go ahead and do that to your body. And then we've got what might be a metatarsal, which is an upper foot bone, or it might be part of your hips, which is over here, separated from the thigh bone. So go ahead and dislocate that real quick. And then I'm gonna guess this is a humerus over here. So yeah, have your upper arm bone right there. And then what looks like probably a toe bone right there, away from the femur. So, we good? How we doing in the chat? Is this, yeah, things twisted more than a pretzel, says Vexy. Yeah. So this is what we call disarticulated, which means it fell apart after it died. This isn't like in Jurassic Park where you've got the beautiful, complete dinosaur skeleton all laid out in bas relief.
Nice loose sand.
Yeah, they're just brushing. It's like they're in a children's sandbox, just like brush, brush, brush. You know, it's not like that in real life.
Hey, Dan.
It's a lot messier.
I think this might be like a little iron nugget thing, but I don't see any bone texture. But what's your thoughts?
Oh, no, this is ossified tendon.
Really?
Yeah, no doubt. That is 1,000,000% ossified tendon. Very, very cool. Yeah, where'd it come from?
Right here.
So that's either part of the back or part of the tail, right
Well,
there.
I'm pretty sure this might be part of the caudal.
Yeah, let me show chat that again.
Yeah, whoa, that's cool.
Yeah, so ossified tendon is kind of a misnomer. I think it's actually ligament and not tendon. But it's like soft tissue of the animal, like ligament. It turns to bone as the animal grows and matures. You want to see, Colin?
I would love to see that time.
So this is at late Cretaceous. So you'll see it for hadrosaurs and you'll see it for ceratopsids. Hadrosaurs, it tends to be kind of laterally compressed like this, so pinched in from side to side. In ceratopsids, it tends to be much more round in cross-section, almost just like a nice little pipe or a tube. But this one's kind of pinched from side to side like that. So these tendons, you can actually see in the diagram right here. So there's this kind of crisscross lattice work of tendons that goes over the back and then down the tail like that, over the hips. And so this is meant to keep the backbone nice and rigid. It keeps it from flexing too much. You've got like all of these tendons that are kind of pulling on each of the vertebrae, connecting them together, and making a nice rigid spine. We think that duckbill dinosaurs like this were probably what we call facultatively bipedal. So if they wanted to, well, normally they'd be walking around on all fours like you see right here. But notice how their arms are much more slender and short than their legs. So if these guys wanted to move fast, we think they could just kind of tuck their arms up, rear up under their hind legs, and run on two legs. And as they do that, they would need, in order to keep the backbone from flexing, they need something there to make it more rigid. So that's where the ossified tendons come in. Does that make sense? Yeah. Good stuff. Really cool. We've got tendon here. I was surprised we hadn't found any yet. That's pretty neat. And somebody in the chat can maybe confirm. I think ossified tendon is a misnomer where it's actually ligament. I think ligaments attach bone to bone and tendons attach muscle to muscle. Do I have that right?
I think that's right.
Yeah. So it wouldn't actually be tendon. It would be ossified ligament, but nobody calls it that. The term that we use is ossified tendon. I think maybe somebody goofed up early on and we're kind of stuck with it. So there you go. Yeah. Oh, dromaeosaurs also have this. That's true, Deathsaurus. Yes, indeed. Yeah. Excellent. Ligaments are bone to bone. There you go, Lenina. That should be ligaments then. Yeah.
Let's start the change right now.
But yeah, so that tells us there's either back or tail there. We might end up with a ton of vertebrae around there too, if we end up with tendon. But the tendon tends to fall apart and just kind of scatter after the animal dies. So that's one of your indicators too, if you're working in, say, the Hell Creek or the Judith River Formation. If you find ossified tendon, you know you're looking at an ornithischian dinosaur, one of the bird-hipped dinosaurs. So either a ceratopsid or a hadrosaur, most likely, because they both have got it. Or a dromaeosaur, but their ossified tendons, I don't know if they're actually tendons. They might actually be, extensions of the caudal vertebrae that do that. I think they are, I don't think they're homologous. I think they are a different anatomical structure. Ossified tendon is kind of restricted to ornithischian dinosaurs. They're like vertebral projections that stretch out. I don't think they're true ossified tendons, but not positive. They do the same job, exactly, Clipper. Stiffening the tail and the spine. In dromaeosaurs, it's only in the tail. So we're talking about like Velociraptor, Deinonychus, Utahraptor. They've got that long, kind of rod-like tail, really, really stiff, that they used for balance. Maybe they used it for changing direction while they're running, something like that. Yeah, so it's really like broom handle stiff, because you've got those projections that I don't think are ossified tendons. I think they're projections of the vertebrae. Yeah. But yeah. Good stuff. Nice find, Nick.
Thank you.
Nice to have some tendon here. Again, it's surprising this is the first we found of it, but that could mean that this is like a high energy environment, that like there was a like strong flow here and so most of it got carried away. Or it could just be like we found the first bit of it and now we'll start finding more and more and more and more.
Yeah, it came out right around in here, so
Yeah.
I'll be careful.
I mean, the camera over there.
Oh, and there's another piece.
Another piece of tendon? Yeah, there we go. Hadrosaur tendon, or ligament. But it's called ossified tendon, even if it's not tendon. Yeah. Good stuff. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, I remember the first time I saw that was at the Yoshi's Trike site in Montana. It's one of my first dinosaurs I ever dug. And there's just ossified tendon everywhere. But again, much more round in cross-section. They almost like look like little rigatoni noodles or something like that. Rigatoni pasta, I should say, not noodles. But yeah. Anywho, and hey, Paleo Jim Kirkland, how are you doing? Welcome to the chat. Good to see you. Yeah, I'm back at the Hadrosaur site today, and we just found our first bits of ossified tendon. Pretty excited about that.
Oh yeah, it's coming out.
And there's more right there? Yeah.
Yeah.
Try and glue that one in place.
Yeah, somewhere.
And, yeah, excellent. Shoot. So, yeah, try and glue that in place, and then we'll work down that area, remove some of the matrix up top, given that this is kind of, we can see the tilt of the bed over here. Let me show everybody in chat. Do a little bit of stratigraphy here. Clip this to my belt so I don't have to worry about it. Yeah. Here we go. So these are the rocks above the quarry here. Kind of curving down. We're sloping in this direction. And so we expect the bones to kind of follow a similar pattern. And they seem to be. Yeah, we've got our highest ones up there, our lowest ones down here. That's pretty decent slope there. Yeah, and so a lot of this stuff is really, really friable, mudstone, kind of silty. We've got sandy stuff in here too. Some of this is very organic rich, so it's gonna be very dark colored, like that, almost charcoaly. So each of these different layers that you see here may have been laid down over the course of days or weeks or months or years, but you've got a lot of them that build up. That's sedimentary geology, baby. That's how it works. It's just layer after layer piling up in depositional environments, and then those depositional environments become erosional environments. Here, they erode away and we find fossils in them. That's the name of the game. Thank you, Nivi, for the 14 months of support. I really appreciate that. That's what allows me to be out here in the field for a whole month. We got here, what was it, May 30th?
May 30th.
Yeah, June 30th. So, yeah, I'm doing my time. Yeah. Here, let me get out of your way there, Eric, so you can take the bucket up. Yeah. We've got 2 big bags of plaster now. We've got a decent amount of water. We're not going to start our plastering today. That might be a tomorrow thing, especially if and when Matt Lamanna gets here. But, yeah. Excellent. Any questions from the chat about anything? There we go, Raw Man. Right after I asked. Theoretically, how likely is it to find dinosaur fossils if you dig out your whole backyard? Extraordinarily unlikely, unless your backyard looks like this and happens to be comprised of rocks from the Mesozoic era from a terrestrial environment. Yeah, how big is your backyard, and do you... I don't know. If your backyard is Dinosaur National Monument, then yeah, chances are you'll find some dinosaurs there. Otherwise, no. Yeah. But yeah. Have a nice hand splint on. Oh no, Jim, shoot. Did you get hurt out there in Texas? I'm so sorry to hear that. I hope you heal up soon. That's lousy. Oh no, broken hand and cracked rib later? Jim, I'm so sorry. Shoot. That is really lousy. I wish you the speediest recovery, Jim. We want you out there in the field in the Cedar Mountain this year, if that's possible.
Danny's yoga thing.
Yeah, darn. I'm sorry to hear that, Jim. Hurts enough that I just noticed the cracked rib. Well, I'm really sorry, Jim. I hope you've got a comfortable place to be right now. Ah, darn. I hope you feel better ASAP. That's lousy. Yeah. If anybody's wondering, that is Utah State paleontologist Jim Kirkland in the chat. I was just talking about you earlier, Jim. We had somebody in the chat, their username was, what, Utah Raptor 14 or something? And I'm like, yeah, we're gonna be talking with the discoverer of Utah Raptor later in the summer. So anyway, I hope you feel better soon. That's really lousy. And you're still here. Excellent, Utah Raptor. Well, there is Jim Kirkland. Yeah. Yeah, we're thinking about you, Jim. Anything you need, let us know. And get well soon. Shoot. In the chat, we've got 324 people watching. Surely somebody has got some questions about it. I'm gonna go get some more water, given that I'm yapping. Lose a lot of water doing this. Gotta make sure you stay hydrated out here in the desert. But yeah. Spent a couple hours watching, guys. Excellent, Jim. Yeah, if we can help you feel better, then that makes me really happy. Yeah, I don't have any news from the Ankylosaur site yet, but yeah, you know what? Maybe I could give Ethan a call and ask for an update from there. Put him on speaker, and well, I don't know. I don't want to bug him. We've also got some BLM folks who are visiting the sites today. So our friends from the Bureau of Land Management were here today on their day off. That made me really happy that what we're doing here is that exciting to them. That like on a Saturday, on their precious weekend, they would come out and visit us and see what it's like to dig up a dinosaur. It's pretty neat. I really like the BLM folks around here. They're good people. And how are the gnats today? They're not here, Casey Snoward, which I'm really happy about. I don't know why, but we haven't had to worry about gnats all day. And what was the flora and fauna like in this area, asks Calculus Centrifugal. And what are the chances of a skull to this beastie hiding in the ground? Good chance of a skull. We're hoping we've got some skull pieces. In fact, we almost certainly have some skull pieces. The reason why we know this is a hadrosaur, why we knew at the very beginning, is because there were fragments that were going down the hill that were collected, and some of them were unmistakably hadrosaur dennary bones. So the lower jawbone that holds a bunch of the teeth, it's very distinctive, and we've got pieces of it from this site, so we know that this is a duckbill dinosaur, and we know that we at least have lower jaw. Hopefully we've got skull as well. Yeah. But yeah. And then someone is asking, what was the flora and fauna like? Let me take a gulp of water, and I'll kind of do my best to walk you through this ancient environment. Here's my water bottle over here. There we go. So, nowadays, southern Wyoming looks much like this, because we're here. We're about 6,000 or 7,000 feet above sea level here. Pretty high elevation, very dry country. Kind of too dry for trees, even. Not enough moisture. Sagebrush, sandstone, mudstone, kind of thing. It did not look like this 73 million years ago in the late Cretaceous period during the age of dinosaurs. So real quick, just to kind of orient you in time, this is a lovely ray troll illustration of a little cartoon. Many of you have seen this before. Earth forms about 4.54 billion years ago, and then you've got all of these different time periods. Dinosaurs first evolve in the Triassic period, probably about 240 million years ago, give or take. Dinosaurs take over the Earth at the beginning of the Jurassic. We talked about that when we were in St. George, Utah, because those are the rocks that we were digging up. The fossils that we were finding were from that time, about 200 million years ago, right there. Then move from the Jurassic into the Cretaceous, the last period in the age of dinosaurs. And dinosaurs go extinct 66 million years ago. We are digging in rocks right here about 73 million years ago. So not too long before that giant extinction event that ends the Mesozoic era and begins the age of mammals, the Cenozoic. So yeah, this is from right near the end of the age of dinosaurs. And at this time, this area here would have been beachfront property, if you can believe that. And that is because the West Seaway had inundated the center of North America. It's this kind of shallow, almost tropical sea. Picture the Mediterranean or maybe even the Caribbean. It would have been like that in the middle of North America. And in this seaway swam mosasaurs, these giant predatory ocean-going lizards with flippers, plesiosaurs, and giant flightless birds like hesperornithids, all kinds of crazy giant fishes with huge teeth and sharks and all kinds of stuff like that all through here. But this little red box that I've put on here, that is an outline of Wyoming. So we're down here in southern Wyoming, and 73 million years ago, this would have been right on the coast of the western interior sea. So at that time, like I said, it was much warmer, wetter. There's like a subtropical sea right nearby. And so you had all kinds of different plants like palms and ferns and cycads. You had broad-leaved trees like angiosperms. You would have had conifers, like sort of like pine trees or redwoods. And probably ginkgo trees and stuff like that too, all throughout here. If you had to imagine this environment and what it would have been like, kind of low-lying, coastal, swampy, very wet and humid, picture like the Mississippi Delta or a Louisiana bayou. Would have been kind of like that. And through this environment walked all of these different dinosaurs like our duckbill dinosaurs here. And dinosaurs and chylosaurs, ceratopsians, like this guy here, moving through this environment, doing their dinosaur thing all day long, and all night long too. Yeah, those are some of the bigger animals that you might notice in the landscape. But also we had a bunch of turtles, a bunch of crocs, a bunch of probably fuzzy little mammals. Maybe not a bunch, they may have been kind of rare. But yeah, you had lizards, you would have had pterosaurs, you would have had all the normal cast of characters that you get in late Cretaceous terrestrial environments. And then inside of rivers and lakes and streams and oxbow lakes and all that other stuff, you would have had garfish and sturgeon, you would have had bowfin, and lots of other critters like that too. And turtles, frogs, salamanders, all those guys right here in Wyoming. Doesn't look like that now, but imagine this landscape, and imagine these hills and these buttes and bluffs, just push them down, flood the center of this area with a big inland sea, throw up some palm trees, some ferns, some redwoods, scatter it with a bunch of different dinosaurs, and then turtles and crocs and different fishes. And well, there you go. You've got the almond formation 73 million years ago. I hope that makes sense. I hope you can picture it, Yeah. Good stuff. And let's see here. And did I miss a big question? Let's see here. And Utahraptor 14 wants to know why ornithischian dinosaurs are so rare in South American countries compared with saurischians and pterosaurs. It's a good question. A good person to answer that would actually be Matt Lamana, who we might be lucky enough to have on stream in the next couple days. We'll see, because he works on some of those faunas, and he might actually be an author on some of those Gondwanan ornithischian dinosaurs. But in like Argentina and Brazil, it does seem like those are more sauropod dominated faunas, unlike in Laurasia up north, North America, Europe, Asia. It seems like your ornithischians, like your hadrosaurs, are kind of the dominant critters, the most common big herbivores. It might have something to do with differences in climate or differences in vegetation. It could have been that the southern continents were more dominated by conifers, things like Araucaria, like monkey puzzle tree. I know a lot of your big South American sauropods, like your titanosaurs, they're often depicted eating monkey puzzle trees and stuff like that, and maybe that's what's going on. Maybe in North America those things became less and less common, and so the sauropods just, I don't know. That's a guess, though. I don't know if we have evidence to really support that idea. I think it's still kind of a mystery why the northern continents seem to be dominated by ornithischian dinosaurs like hadrosaurs, and then down south you still have hadrosaurs, but they seem to play second fiddle to the huge sauropods that were walking around at the very end of the Cretaceous there. Yeah. Anywho, I hope that is a satisfactory answer. Rawman777 wants to know, have you yourself ever discovered a new species? I've discovered several. Yeah. One of them is a new kind of horned dinosaur, a Chasmosaurine ceratopsid from the late Cretaceous Judith River Formation of Montana. It's not been published yet, but it's there. We actually got to see it when we visited the Badlands Dinosaur Museum in Dickinson, North Dakota back in February. We got to see my baby there, and that was pretty cool. Hopefully, it'll be officially published in the next few. Talk about it more in depth, because right now it's still a little bit hush-hush. Yeah. Yeah. And from Deathsaurus, I know it's early, but any guesses on how much of the hadrosaur is there? So we've got, so far, at least one femur, we think, although it could be a tibia. We've got some big limb bones like that. We've got some fragments of ribs. We've got some fragments of jaw that were collected last year. We've got some ossified tendons. We've got maybe some limb bones, toe bones, that kind of thing. So not a whole lot of it yet. I would say it's less than 10% complete right now. But again, we're just starting off. So hopefully we'll find a lot more of it, which would be really cool. Yeah. Anywho. And how many days in the field campaign? Oh, so this is, it's going to be what, 32 days, I think? We started May 30th. We came out here May 30th, rather. And we're leaving June 30th, it looks like. So, yeah, what is that, 31, 32 days? Yeah. And that is kind of a hard cutoff because we've got to go return the rental vehicle. We've got to get these fossils sent off to the museum, all that stuff. So our hard stop date, I think, is June 30th. Yeah, and I'll be here the whole time. Trying to stream every day if possible, but no guarantees. There could be weather, there could be technical difficulties. It could just be like I need to help at a site and have my undivided attention on the site for an entire day. You know, a lot can happen, but so far, so good. We're 8 for 8 so far. This is day 8, and I've streamed 8 times. Not too shabby. Yeah. And any new croc materials? I don't think so, although we might get an update from Turtle Hill changing that. Fisher was excavating something that he thought was maybe, could be like an upside down croc skull. There were these, it's kind of a V-shaped thing, and it would almost be like the two dentaries converging to form that symphysis at the tip, but we don't know yet. We're still figuring that out. So I'll ask him this evening, so I can give you an update tomorrow if you'd like. Yeah. And, oh, from Mind Over Matter, thank you, Claire Burr. What kind of new information might you find by excavating new specimens? Well, for one thing, finding new species. So chances are, this is a brand new species of hadrosaur, because there are no hadrosaurs known from this geological formation, none that have been named. So we're hoping that we can help unveil a new kind of dinosaur here, which would be pretty awesome. We've got a number of duckbill dinosaurs that have been excavated from here in the Almond Formation from us working previous years. This is another one of those, so we're trying to build up a pretty good sample size. And we might even have multiple species. In a lot of these different formations, you have what we call a saurolophine, a flat-headed hadrosaur, relatively flat-headed at least, like one of these guys. And then you have a lambeosaurine, which will look a lot like this, except the head is different. There's often big bony crests that are really garish. So right now, I don't know, we're kind of, I guess, assuming? I don't know why, but assuming that this is a saurolophine, but it very well might be a lambeosaurine. Who knows, you know? I was assuming it was a saurolophine at least, presuming.
Where?
But yeah.
Yeah.
They should just get bigger.
Pretty cool. Maybe this is the maximum.
So yeah, but with each new species that we discover and each specimen that we unearth and study, we're helping to piece together, you know, another bit of this ancient ecosystem. we can help elucidate what this environment was like. Who are the inhabitants? What's going on here? And that can give us really useful information about, you know, how these environments are changing throughout the Cretaceous period. What are the overall trends? It's just another page in this grand story of the history of life on Earth. And we're really lucky to be able to help figure this out, help tell that story. You know? Yeah. Anywho. And Gravity says, speaking of turtles, any new specimens? Yeah, I showed one earlier in the stream. I don't think we'll go back down there again, because it was quite the undertaking to get down there. But Mandy and Jesse working down there they're helping unearth a big old turtle that Nick found the other day, which is pretty exciting. Looks to me like one of the big terrestrial turtles that you get in the late Cretaceous of North America, but, you know, I'm not a turtle expert. Nor do I play one on stream. Yeah. Anywho, yeah. And Jody Fish says that's going to be a hefty piece to get out in one go. We were talking about this earlier. We very well might need a helicopter for that. That might have to stay here until next year. But we'll see. It's the bones are kind of crisscrossed over one another. So trying to separate them might be a no-no for this. I don't really want to make a decision about that right now and start jacketing today, because I'm going to be bouncing around to other sites, and I don't want anybody to have to, you know, to deal with a decision that I make while I'm here for one day. We'll let Matt Lamanna come back tomorrow, and he can make the call as to whether they should try and jacket this all together, or try and, you know, dig some canals in between, narrow canals between the bones to try and separate it into multiple jackets. So I'm not going to make that call today. And IMVH1 says, this is why I joined Twitch, to see dinosaurs. I'm glad we could I've been tremendously lucky to be able to make how I pay the bills, is streaming paleontology here on this platform. And it's a tremendous privilege to be able to show you what fieldwork is like in the field. And Jim says general tendon shape may be diagnostic to family. Interesting, Jim. Again, our ossified tendons here, they're pinched laterally, which they look really similar to like the Brachylophosaur and Edmontosaur tendon, and excavated in the Judith and the Hell Creek, respectively. So, yeah. But I don't know if the tendon shape, I don't know how diagnostic it is for hadrosaurs. You would know better than I would, Jim. Yeah. And have you found any hides or skin prints yet? At this site, we've got no fossil skin here yet, but it could be here. This might not be the right kind of depositional setting to get fossil skin, but we do have that for several of our other duckbill dinosaurs, which again is really exciting. We have that at the Lex site, and we might have that at the Dell site. And I think there's another hadrosaur that also has skin here that we excavated last year or the year before. So, exciting stuff. Yeah. What's the oldest thing I found? The oldest fossil? Or oldest... I don't know. The oldest fossils I've ever worked... I've done almost all my work in the Mesozoic, so during the age of dinosaurs, which is not that old in the grand scheme of things. So this is not going to be a particularly satisfactory answer, but the oldest fossils I've ever dug up might be from the Morrison form. No, I take that back. Shoot. No, 200 million years ago. I keep forgetting. I was in St. George a couple months back. So yeah, a bunch of fossils from St. George. Fossil fish scales, shark spines, dinosaur bones, that kind of thing. Dinosaur tracks. 200 million years old. We had at that quarry. So, Yeah, just from the very beginning of the Jurassic period. So I don't know, 200 million years old. That's not old in the grand scheme of things. That's, here, again, to give you some perspective. Here we are. There we are. So this is a little time spiral. I'll set this down. So, formation of the Earth about 4.54 billion years ago. Down there, up and up and up and up and up and up until we get to Phanerozoic. And within that, you've got the Paleozoic, the Mesozoic, and the Cenozoic. So we're here at the very end of this, right here. We go back through the Cenozoic into the age of dinosaurs. You see some very old, tail-draggy dinosaurs there. I'd love to do an updated version of this one of these days. That would be cool. And then back in time. So the beginning of the Jurassic period is right here. So, you know, you look at this entire coil going all the way down the formation of the Earth, and this is really recent compared to anything that's much, much, much older. So in the grand scheme of things, 200 million years ago is not that long. We consider the Earth as 4.54 billion, with a B, billion years old. But that's still a long time, you know. I don't want to discount that. 200 million years. I wouldn't want to have to wait for the bus for 200 million years, you know? I get pretty impatient. Anywho. And is Jim not a VIP, Clairber? How did that happen? Shoot. Paleo Jim. No user matched that username. I don't know if that worked. I might have to go into the Twitch app to do that. Hang on. I've got a bunch of other questions I want to cover. So, yeah. Here. Maybe in a minute. Yeah. His other account was VIP. Oh, gotcha, Lenina. Okay, here. Give me a second. I don't know if there are other accounts. Let's see. Channel. Chat. VIP. At. It's not coming up. Yeah. Anywho, yeah. And I am VH1 says it's so weird to think that they've just been sat there for that long, these fossils, yeah. And now we have the privilege to know about them and see them in video. I know, right? How incredible is that? I try and remind myself of this all the time, how lucky we are to know anything at all about, you know, the ancient history of our planet Earth. And how just a few generations ago, we didn't know any of this stuff, you know? Paleontology in a lot of ways is a very, very modern science. The word paleontology was only coined in like 1830 or something like that by Henri Marie Descartes de Blainville, a French naturalist in the early 1800s. He coined the word paleontology. Before that, there was no word for this science, really. Yeah. And even the very idea of extinction, the idea that species can go extinct, that they can disappear entirely, that every last individual of a species can die out, that's a fairly new idea too. Really widely accepted, again, in like the 1820s, 1830s, something like that. I mean, there were solid ideas about the structure of the atom. You know, the idea of an atomic nucleus is an older idea in science than the idea of extinction. That's wild to think about, you know? Paleontology is a thoroughly modern science, and we're so lucky to live at a time when, you know, thousands upon thousands of different people around the world, geologists and paleontologists and other folks who study these things, been able to amass this collection of knowledge. We now know an incredible amount of the history of life on Earth, and we wouldn't have that were it not for, you know, folks like these digging in the ground right now. You guys are doing good work.
Thanks, Danny.
Yeah, helping us kind of uncover these specimens, try and add more pieces to this grand puzzle. We're pretty lucky, we really are. Yeah. But yeah. And here, hang on a sec. Let me try the VIP thing again. Whoop, nope, that's not what I was trying to do. Profile, my channel, chat, /VIP, Paleo Gem. There we go. I think it worked. Excellent. Yeah. Jonas Halen says, was paleontology ever ridiculed or considered bunkum? The era you mentioned, a lot of actual carny things emerged. I wonder if this is ever tagged that way. Kind of. I mean, let's face it. The idea of a very old planet Earth is threatening to a lot of folks. There are a lot of people who don't want to believe that the Earth is old. They want to believe that, oh, well, we as human beings are so special, and the Earth was created special for us, and nothing ever came before us. It's just Earth, and then 6 days later, humans, or 5 days later, or whatever else, you know? You'd be shocked the number of people who claim to actually believe that even today. But that used to be the general assumption that everybody had. Before we had an understanding of geology, an understanding of Earth history, that was kind of the default belief, is that like, oh yeah, you know, Earth, maybe it's a couple thousand years old or whatever, who really cares? You know, Earth was made for us and there was nothing that came before us. That's, a lot of people found comfort in that idea, even though it was completely wrong. So, yeah, the early days of fossil science were kind of a little bit fraught, but at the same time, some of the earliest paleontologists, the earliest academic paleontologists at least, people like William Buckland. William Buckland was trained as a minister. There were other members of the clergy too who were really interested in fossils, and I think the idea that you had members of the Anglican Church in England who were finding these fossils and interpreting them and, you know, discovering dinosaurs for the first time and like scientifically studying them for the first time, rather. The idea that many of these were like men of the cloth, so to speak, kind of helped people accept the idea that yes, these creatures are real and they ruled the earth long before us. So there's a really interesting book about this that I'd like to give a shout out to, like to recommend. It's called Impossible Monsters by Michael Taylor. Book just came out last year. It's really good, and it's all about the early history of paleontology in Europe and especially in the UK. Really well written, very, very well researched. Highly recommended. Impossible Monsters by Michael Taylor. And Deathsaurus, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure William Buckland was yeah, he was like a big proponent of the Earth being very old and all of that. You might be thinking of somebody else. Yeah. And Jim says other belief systems have an ancient Earth, and that is true. Yeah. It's interesting that like kind of the dominant belief system in England was at first really hostile toward the idea of a super ancient Earth, but then when it became clear that like, hey, this is something we should be proud of as English people, you know, us finding these creatures, understanding geology, understanding the history of life on Earth, it kind of went from heresy to something you'd brag about. I mean, after all, old Chucky D, Charles Darwin, ended up being buried in Westminster Abbey. That's kind of extraordinary, you know? He could have been burned at the stake, but no. It was a pretty rapid transition, you know, from being hostile to this idea of an ancient Earth, extinct animals, evolution, from seeing those ideas as being heretical to more or less accepting them. That happened pretty quickly. And it's a really interesting story. Again, Impossible Monsters by Michael Taylor. Good book. Yeah. And thank you, Brain of Purple. Holy cow. Thank you for all those gift subs. That is fantastic. I really appreciate it. Yeah. Phenomenal. Thank you for the support. Thanks for keeping me here online. This is, believe it or not, what I do full time. This is how I pay the bills. If I don't get supported on Twitch, I don't have money. This is how I make my living. So thank you for that. I really appreciate it. And discounted subs 35% on 5+ bundles for 7 days. That's brilliant. Thank you, Lenina, and thank you everybody who has contributed. 5 from Executive Storm and 5 from Dark Tarkanis. Executive Storm and Dark Tarkanis, thank you very much for your support. I appreciate that tremendously. My hat is off to you. Thank you, thank you. Generous of you. I appreciate it. Yeah, and is that Paleo Ken there in the chat? How are you doing, Ken? Yeah, that's the thing, is that Charles Darwin, old Chucky D, he was really nervous about publishing his ideas about evolution because he had seen other people get run out of town on a rail for suggesting similar concepts. So yeah, he really dotted all of his T's and crossed his I's, so to speak. No, he was much more careful than that. He was really meticulous in laying out these ideas and providing evidence for all of them so that when he could present this, it was kind of a done deal, you know? He could present a really, really convincing argument based in strong evidence, and much of that evidence holds true today, which is kind of extraordinary when you think about it. Darwin didn't really have fossils to look at in order to try and demonstrate evolution. That kind of came later. But it was funny, he makes a lot of predictions in his book on the origin of species, and a lot of those turned out to be right on the money. Yeah. Anywho. Three-headed squirrel, welcome to the chat. Good to have you here. Excellent. Yeah. Good stuff. 383 people watching. Beautiful. Yeah. But yeah. Anyway, Ken in the chat, you're gonna be here this evening, aren't you? Ken! Yeah, we miss you, Ken.
Ken! I miss you, Ken!
Yeah, hopefully Ken will be rolling into camp before too long. And he'll be here tonight and tomorrow. Maybe longer, we'll see. But looking forward to seeing you, Ken. Drive safe, bud.
Tell him I'll get a beer nice and cold for him.
Excellent. Did I just call you bud? That sounded weird. That's not a normal thing that I say. I need to drink some more water. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, windy Wyoming. Let's see, 4 o'clock here. Maybe I'll even have a chance to do some digging today, although that's kind of a weird site to work. It's narrow side to side, so there's not a whole lot of space. I don't know if I'm going to have a comfortable place to be. I might just end up walking around with the camera and supervising. But yeah. Is that Colin or Turbo? That was Colin there, Ken. Yeah. Who's Turbo?
Turbo is AJ.
Oh, right. No. That's funny. AJ's got it. I didn't know that. But no, that's Colin right there. Yeah. Have you refreshed your sunscreen? Not in a while, but I got a lot of dust on. And also, I'm pretty well tanned this year. So I don't have to worry as much about sunburn. I don't know, that trip to Puerto Rico really gave me a head start, which is nice. But yeah. But I put on a lot of sunscreen earlier. I think I'm okay. Gonna be golden brown by the end of the summer. Yeah. Executive Storm says, I'm so glad you made it. You have more viewers than some of the gamers I watch. Thank you for all that you do. You bet, Executive Storm. And you know what? I think something tells me our viewership might continue to increase. Not only because I've got a lot of really cool streams planned, but, well, yeah, a certain application that I put into Twitch recently? Last year? Well, we might have some exciting news about that in the near future. Yeah. Jim says you can poke them with sticks. I can poke the guys with sticks to get them out of the way to work in the quarry. We might do that. We'll see. Yeah. Anyhow. Yeah. Anywho. What is there to do in Wyoming besides Yellowstone and digging up dinosaurs? Asked Rawman. Oh man, there's a lot to do. There's various museums across the state. We've got a lot of other fossil localities too. Of course, my mind jumps to fossils. But Fossil Butte National Monument is not too far away from here. That's up near Kemmerer, Wyoming. All kinds of incredible fossil fishes, fossil plants, fossil mammals. The oldest bat fossils in the world, I think, are from there. The Green River Formation, if you've ever heard of that. Is Fossil Butte the Green River Formation? It might not be, actually. I'm not 100% sure. Don't want to be making confident proclamations that are untrue. Somebody check. But, yeah. There's also, I think, Natural Trap Cave is in Wyoming, too, which was this cave with an opening at the top and all of these different fossil mammals. Well, they weren't fossils at the time. They were living, breathing mammals till they fell through the hole and hit the bottom. But something like 40,000 different individual mammals fell down there, everything from mice to elephants, proboscideans, gomphotheres, I think. Again, don't quote me on that. I don't know if they're gomphotheres, but a crazy number of mammals preserved in there. Devil's Tower, there you go, Jim. Yeah, there's Devil's Tower. There's a whole bunch of cool stuff in Wyoming. If you like windy, wide open spaces, if you like solitude, if you like going to a place without a whole lot of other people, Wyoming is the least populous state. Fewer people than any other state, including Rhode Island, which is nuts. There's like 570,000 people in the entire state of Wyoming. So yeah, if you want to just kind of get away from it all, it's a good place to do it. And Fossil Butte National Monument is in the Green River Formation. Thank you, Dr. Hubbs. Good. Glad to hear it. Yeah. Anywho, excellent. Yeah. So yeah, there's a fair number of things to do in Wyoming. You're not going to find any bustling metropolises here. It's not necessarily like a locus of culture, fashion, or cuisine, but Wyoming does have a lot of things to recommend it for sure. And I mean, look at that landscape there. Pretty special. Yeah. I was joking with Ken about this a while ago. Might need to extend that conversation. But Wyoming is, think of it as like the Mongolia of the United States. Vast windswept plains, very high, very dry, lots of dinosaur fossils. Yeah, both places were once kind of ruled over by nomadic people who were some of the world's best horsemen. there's yeah, a lot of similarities between Wyoming and Mongolia. Similar latitudes too. Yeah. Can we get some Bactrian camels? They would actually probably do really well here in Wyoming. In the same way that dromedary camels were released in Australia and have gone feral. So there's just see wild camels all over the place in certain parts of the country. I bet you if somebody were to release some Bactrian camels here, they might do pretty well. Around here seem to be pretty happy and healthy. We've been lucky enough to see a whole bunch of wild horses while we were out here. Some of them right next to the car driving in a few days ago. Didn't see them this morning, but maybe we'll get lucky and see them this afternoon. That's kind of magical to see wild horses. Not too many places you get to see that nowadays. Yeah. Yeah. Mongolia had Genghis Khan. Wyoming has Yalkan. I like that, Renfield. Yeah. And yeah, we'll go check out the site in just a second here. Yeah. And there you go, Crimson Carnosaurus. That makes sense. Yeah. I imagine you've seen some squamates basking and fleeing. I have, yeah. Big old lizards. They look kind of like the Scaloporus that I know, like western fence lizards, but they're kind of larger and stubbier, more robust. I saw a bunch yesterday at the Ankylosaur site after, they were sunning themselves trying to get warm after the big windstorm. Some of them are big, maybe like that long, from my pinky to my thumb. Yeah, just hanging loose there on the rocks. And then they would scamper off when I would come by. Try to get some pictures of them, but they were very skittish. I don't think they were side blotch lizards. They looked rougher than that. But I don't know. Yeah. And lots of camels once upon a time? Yeah, that's the thing, is that camels first evolved in North America. So they used to live in this landscape during the Pleistocene. And then they died out during the Pleistocene extinction event when the mammoths and the saber-toothed cats and the ground sloths, when they all died out, the camels went too. And the original North American horses as well. That's why horses had to be reintroduced. Had to be. That's why it was a reintroduction when the Spanish brought horses over here. This used to be horse country. So it's kind of interesting in that the wild horses, the Mustangs that live here, they're kind of filling that niche that their ancestors once filled. Cool stuff. Yeah. Anywho, let's go check out the site some more. We've got 404 people watching. By the way, if anybody's tuning in for the first time, welcome to Paleontologizing. My name is Danny Anduza. I'm a dinosaur paleontologist. I'm here on Twitch trying to do some good old-fashioned science outreach. Trying to show you what it's like to dig up dinosaurs in the field, answer your questions. Trying to make you feel like you're really here, Help you share in that feeling of discovery and adventure that we get when we're out here doing field work. So I'm glad you're here. Let me know if you got any questions. Yeah. Good stuff. Here. Oh no, I think Eric died. No, he's just taking a much needed break. Don't get up, you're fine.
Oh, no.
Working all day in the sun, you gotta rest a bit.
No, you go until you break.
But yeah, here is our hadrosaur site, our duckbill dinosaur. Any new bones over here?
I think I got some vertebra over here.
Ooh, oh nice, you're taking down the sperm? Yeah.
Just
The ossified tendon.
ossified tendons.
And there it
like
is
a
in
big,
situ.
round vertebra.
Nice, yeah, that looks like a big vertebral centrum there. Nice work, Nick.
Yeah,
I knew there'd be more stuff under here.
I'm thinking that these might be the zygapophyses, like at the end, or one of these. 'Cause
Could be,
I see this
yeah.
exact same shape right here, so I wonder if this is another vertebra.
Yeah, could very well be another vert. Nice. Excellent. Again,
Or this might be the articular facets. I take that back. If they
Yeah.
have them, right?
on the vertebrae,
Yeah.
like on the centra.
Yeah, well, you have the... I'm not
So
too
those are the
well
transverse
versed.
processes on the sides. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in the front and back, you've got in the front the pre-zygapophyses, and in the back the post-zygapophyses.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So those could be. You mean
Some of
like the
the-
articular facets on the zigs?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Because they're
Nice.
kind of flat. So, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And nice. There's more of that ossified tendon right there, that rod-like thing you see in the ground that's all shiny. Nick just put some glue on that. Again, those are our ossified tendons. Nice. I knew we'd find more of them. Yeah. Excellent. And those are in situ, which is really cool. Yeah.
We're getting some more stuff coming
More bone
down.
going down there too. Shoot.
Yeah, and it's nice and curved.
Interesting. Yeah, it's got kind of a concave sort of shape to it.
Might be concavinated.
So that might be. This could be another vertebral centrum, that kind of like bowl-like shape, or it could be part of an ilium. Could be part of like a limb bone. Yeah. It's definitely not a rib,
No.
and it doesn't look scully. So I would guess either vertebral or pelvic. Those would be my guesses. Could also be part of a limb. But I'm going to say vertebral or pelvic. Nice. Excellent. Nice work, boys. Yeah. Good stuff. So yeah, take that bone.
Absolutely.
At least there seems to be some daylight between that vert. Hopefully we can make it a separate.
This could be a separate jacket. Hopefully this could be a jacket.
Yeah. Good stuff. This is.
I can at least make out 3 vertebrae, right?
Yeah.
1, 2.
Hopefully you don't dig down and find that they're sitting on top of other bones right next to it. This could be this jacket could be 15 feet long. I mean, we'll see. We very well might need a helicopter to get it out. But again, I don't want to be the one to make that decision. I don't want to start jacketing it yet. We'll let Matt get here and we'll put the pressure on him. Yeah, he'll get to make the call. It's going to his museum, so it's only fair. Yeah. But yeah. Hadrosaurine superblock in the works. Yeah, although we used to work the phrase saurolophine nowadays. Yeah, it used to be hadrosaurine and lambeosaurine. Now we say lambeosaurine and saurolophine, because it turns out Hadrosaurus is probably not like a typical hadrosaurine. Like the one that gave its name to the group is probably not actually part of that group. And so they changed the name. Now it's saurolophines and hadrosaurines, or lambeosaurines. Blah. Yeah. And Giga Chad says, "Is it bad to find a lot of bones in one place?" No, it's good. It's a good problem to have. Exactly, Nick. Yeah. Shoot. This is what we want. It's just, it's going to be too heavy to bring out in one piece by hand. So we might have to bring in, yeah.
The chopper.
The chopper. The duckbill.
Yeah, it's definitely the last hour. That's for sure. Yeah. So, yeah, luckily, we might have some friends at the Bureau of Land Management who could lend us their helicopter for. I say lend us our helicopter like we're going to be flying it. No, stop by with their helicopter and help us out.
Too different from a drone, right?
Yeah, we got a drone master in the camp.
Yeah. I don't know, flying a helicopter can't be too much different from driving a Toyota Prius. Like, sure, I could figure it out.
Yeah, your Prius is lifted, the helicopter's lifted.
Yeah, the helicopter lifts off the ground.
Same
Same thing. Yeah. IMVH says, "How do you even find these bones?" I mean, look, you found one. There it is, right there. Yeah, they're in the ground. You know, it's not rocket surgery.
You doing surgery on rockets?
Sometimes, yeah. No, the way that this was found is, so, not being facetious, serious answer. One of our crewmates found this site last summer, right at the end of the season, I think. So he was hiking along here, looking for new sites, looking for new dinosaurs, and he found some bones spilling out down here on the hillside. And so there is still some bones scattered down there. We'll have to hoover up whatever's left when we can. But yeah, he followed that bone up the hill to try and find the source, and it was spilling out from right here. So he named this site the Purple Puzzle Site, because some of the bone was kind of a purple color, and it had broken apart like a puzzle. So Ethan thought that was a pretty promising site. Ethan is our expedition lead. This whole project is kind of his brainchild. And he's like, this looks important. We've got jawbone. Some of the fragments were from a jawbone of a duckbill dinosaur. He's like, if there's jaw, there might be skull. This is really important. So he applied for an excavation permit through the Bureau of Land Management, because we're on federal land here. We got our permit, and now we've got permission to dig a great big hole and get this dinosaur out of the ground. So we're pretty happy. Anyway, is that a satisfactory answer? Let me know.
I don't know. Still too facetious.
Giga Chad says, thank you. You bet. Yeah, of course. Glad you're here. And Rawman says, do you ever get any calls from hikers or cavers? No, not really. Yeah, so our project here is still, we're not really well known to the public yet. We're trying to keep this kind of hush-hush in the local towns just because we don't necessarily want people knowing that there's dinosaurs out here. We don't want to have to protect the site from looters or fossil poachers or whatever.
Just standing here with a sniper.
But yeah, eventually we will publish on these, and then the word will get out, you know. So, but for the time being, we're enjoying our anonymity out here, enjoying our, you know, not having to worry about every local person walking over trying to grab a souvenir dinosaur bone. Yeah. Anywho. But yeah, and do we ever get any calls? So we're not the people to call if local people find fossils. They would call the Bureau of Land Management, which is the federal agency that oversees these lands and protects them. You know, we do our very best to be good stewards of the land here, but that is the purview of the BLM. That's what they do. They are the stewards of federal lands, and we're really lucky to have them on our side, honestly. We had a couple of BLM officials come out and join us on their day off. They were so excited to be able to, you know, come see a dinosaur in the ground. So they're visiting one of our other sites right now, and yeah, it's always nice to have them out here.
Never seen a government employee so giddy.
Yeah, pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, makes you smile. Yeah. And yeah, visibly upset. We don't have a John Hammond here to genetically engineer a Tyrannosaurus to guard the site for us, but that might draw more attention than we need, honestly. Having a 40-foot long theropod walking around through here. Yeah. I mean, I already feel conspicuous enough with like a yellow mustard bottle and a red plaster bag here. The road is, you know, a walkable distance and makes me a little bit nervous. But yeah. Jody Fish says, when the BLM is excited, you know, excited that you're there, you know you're onto something. Oh yeah, and we feel really good about that. Yeah, it's nice to. It's really nice to be friends with the BLM and, you know, be able to help them out. They help us out. It feels good. It feels good.
Teamwork.
Yeah.
Science.
Actually, one of them had a pretty pretty funny idea where it's, if we're trying to keep people away from the site, just put up signs that say rattlesnake testing facility. And yeah, apparently that worked at an archaeological site that they had. So we might get some signs like that made up. That would be fun. Yeah. I should totally do that, actually. I've got a printer at home. I've got a lamination machine. Print up some caution, rattlesnake breeding site. It's doable. There you go. Charlie's Dragon had the same idea. Rattlesnake breeding facility. Yep. Yeah. Bearded Josh says, note to self, don't trust signs, especially the ones that say landmines.
Yeah, there might be a dinosaur under the landmine.
I mean, you might want to trust those signs. Or if not trust them, at least give them a wide berth, even if you disbelieve them. Yeah. Somebody says, then you'll get snake poachers. What's your username? It's the same color as the background. Guido Fe. Snake poachers. Yeah, we don't want snake poachers either. But at least maybe snake poachers will leave the fossils alone.
Yeah. It's not like they're gonna find snakes.
Giga Chad says, which sauropod fossil is likely the most common to find in Wyoming? Probably Camarasaurus. Is that your experience, Eric? The Camarasaurus is the most common sauropod just about anywhere in the Morrison?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah. We don't have any sauropods in these rocks. This is after they go extinct in North America.
So sad.
Yeah, I don't know what did it either. But yeah, if you're looking in the Morrison Formation, which is chock full of sauropods, Camarasaurus is the most common one generally. After that, probably Apatosaurus, I'm guessing, but I'm just guessing here. I don't really know. Yeah. And we had another question. No, we didn't. Never mind. Yeah. Thank you. You bet, Giga Chad. Thanks for the good question. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, while we got you here, Colin, can we show off some of your tattoos?
Oh yeah, they're a little dirty right now. So
it goes. Get a feel.
Get any higher?
Very nice.
This is the only two.
Crimson Carnotaurus. I think you'll like that Carnotaurus tattoo. That's a good one. Really well rendered.
Nice one.
Yeah. Got some. Are those Mesozoic plants there? Those magnolias?
Here.
Hydrangeas. Okay.
We got a chrysanthemum here, and we got a magnolia on the back of the arm, but the sleeve is just a little too tight because I'm a little too muscular.
No worries. Yeah. And is that? Hang on. What's was there an almond right there?
There is an almond.
Well.
We'll clean that guy off.
One of the almond brothers here.
One of the first.
Yeah. I've got my almond tattoo for the almond formation. Right there.
I'm blind.
Yeah.
It's upside down.
That's from last summer. I had that put on a birthmark that was on my leg that I had since I was a kid, but it was fading, and I'm like, my birthmark! And now there's an almond there, which is pretty cool. So, yeah.
You'll have to catch me at camp with short sleeves so I can show off the whole sleeve.
Crimson Carnotaurus says, excuse me while I screenshot that and book an appointment. Where would somebody get that tattoo?
Oh, somebody could get that tattoo at 1867 Tattoo in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Nice.
Ask for James. Tell him Colin sent you.
Excellent. Shout out to James. 1877 Tattoo. 1867 Tattoo, sorry. Yeah. I was lifting up my leg on my shorts. One of my moderators says, Danny, this isn't that sort of stream. Yeah, usually got to pay extra for that, you know?
Glad I have my sunglasses on.
Yeah. Utah Raptor 14 says, is Alamosaurus and other saltosaurids rare in the US and Canada? Yes. Yeah, I don't think Alamosaurus has ever been found in Canada. I don't think they make it any further north than, like, New Mexico. Utah. I think we have some from Utah now. Yeah. But, yeah, we don't have them up in the Hell Creek Formation. We don't have them in the Lance Formation in Wyoming. I don't know what it is, but they don't seem to make it very far north. And then the asteroid hits, and they don't have a chance to make it any further north after that. Yeah, that window of opportunity closes because they died. But, yeah.
Spoilers.
Sorry, yeah. I don't know if anybody in the chat's not yet gotten to the end of the Cretaceous period, I apologize, but something bad happens at the end of season 4 there. Season 3, sorry. Triassic, Jurassic, Cretaceous. Yeah.
It's a bit of a slow burn.
Spoilers. I mean, it was 66 million years ago. You would think that people would know at this point, but yeah. Anywho. And big animal doesn't like the Everglades. Oh, I see what you mean, Ken. You feel like it was maybe too swampy and wet up in the Hell Creek for sauropods? Could have been. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. Where was ground zero where the asteroid hit? Says Cat Kitten? Yeah, exactly. The Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico. The crater is called Chicxulub. It's named after the nearest town, or the town that's nearest the epicenter, maybe. But, yeah, so if I were to show you our map again, I think we've even got a spot on there. I think we can see the kind of. So this is earlier than 66 million years ago, so the Western Interior Seaway would have been smaller at the time. And sea levels would have been a little bit lower. It would have had land here, but it hit right about there. That's where the Yucatan Peninsula is. And so that is where the asteroid hit. And so some of those dinosaurs in North America would have been, they would have had a bad day, I'll put it that way. Yeah. Not a whole lot of fun. Again, dinosaurs like Triceratops and Tyrannosaurus and Ankylosaurus, some of your great big Hell Creek dinosaurs, they were some of the last non-bird dinosaurs on Earth. The rocks we're digging here, this duckbill dinosaur is from long before that, 73 million years ago. What's 73 minus 66? That would be 7 million years before. So yeah, this guy lived about 7 million years before that asteroid impact, and so wouldn't have had to worry about that.
Just missed it.
Yeah, just missed it.
Hopefully, I mean, this is a big animal, so hopefully it lived a long, happy life before it died. I like to think that anyway.
We got some limb bones. We could do some ontogeny if we really wanted. Or
do some
histology.
histo. Exactly, yeah.
Osteohistology, if
Yep.
we really wanted to. But
If we really wanted to, we should. That'd be awesome. Yeah. And especially now that we've got multiple individuals, multiple duckbill dinosaurs, there's kind of no reason not to do histo.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool.
Get Holly Woodward on the job. I think she'd jump at the chance. That'd be pretty neat. Yeah. And Jazzy Cat says, why were the bones purple? Probably, what? I was going to say magnesium, is that right?
Manganese.
Manganese. I need to drink some more water. Manganese is probably the mineral that...
Mixed with some iron.
Some iron, yeah. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of ironstones here.
Oh, yeah.
There's so much ironstone around here. Probably manganese, and then it might be something to do with, like, that was the color that it turned while it was on the surface getting weathered, too. Maybe that accentuates the purple color from the manganese, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah. How's the weather today, asked Dosen Plate? Pretty nice. It's maybe slightly too windy to be ultra comfortable, but, you know, temperature's not bad. What is our current temp? It's
Somebody do the weather command. Yeah. 82. Current humidity about 15%. It feels pretty dry. It does. I'll get that for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is not a humid place, Wyoming. 15% humidity.
Sounds like a new record.
Yeah. And that's incredibly dry, says Latu. I mean, this is kind of a desert. It might officially qualify as desert. I don't know. Yeah.
I can't see like half of your body, so you're like looking at the ocean.
Oh, let's get some water. Wow.
Way up in there.
All right. Anyway, how's everybody's weekend going? Are you working as hard as we are here? Hopefully everybody's having a nice, relaxing weekend. And yeah, I keep forgetting it's Saturday. Days of the week don't mean much out here in the field. We work 7 days a week. We've got 1 month to try and collect as many fossils as we can, gather as much data, get as much done as we can. So we try not to take days off unless we have to. You know, sometimes you'll get a rain day when you can't go out and work. So you seize that opportunity to rest, to clean things up around camp, all that. No rain days yet, we've been lucky, but we've still only been out here 1 week. This is day 8 today. And yeah, we've had some pretty good stuff. So we're like 1/4 of the way through the field season, and we've already got some good jackets out. We're finding some good specimens. Pretty happy with how things are going so far. Yeah. And Ulodinen says, how does temperature change? How easy it is to excavate fossils from the ground? Well, if the temperatures are within the habitable range for a human being, then that generally makes things easier. But you know, if it's below 30 degrees Fahrenheit or above 120 degrees Fahrenheit, it generally makes things tougher, as you might imagine. This is actually really comfortable out here. We're lucky it's like this right now. High 70s, low 80s. Pretty ideal. Yeah. And we very well might have multiple individuals in this bone bed. We're not sure yet. I don't know if it's a bone bed. In this quarry, I'll say. Right now, there's nothing that tells us for sure that we've got multiple individual animals here, but I wouldn't be shocked if that were the case. We shall see. It's still too early to say for sure. Yeah. And Latu says, do you have binoculars for looking at fossils in the ground? No, we just use our eyeballs. Yeah. That's just another piece of equipment to carry around. I did have binoculars up here for looking at vehicles driving by or looking at birds, but I'm like, I'm going to bring this back to camp. I don't need to keep it up here, especially with me moving around to different sites all the time. Urgle Wurgle, thank you so much for the 10 gift subs there. Really appreciate that. Thank you very much. My hat goes off to you. Thank you for helping support science outreach here on Twitch, and thank you for helping pay my bills. I'm grateful. Appreciate you. There's 10 people in the chat who won't have to watch any ads at all for as long as we're out here in Wyoming. It's pretty excellent. Appreciate that, Urgle Wurgle. Thank you for your generosity. Yeah. Good stuff. Sazasaf says, great community here in chat. Absolutely. Yeah. And do you find some cranial material of these hadrosaurs? Yeah, we've got jawbone, lower jaw, but we're hoping we get more skull out of here. Nothing that's incontrovertibly scully yet, but fingers crossed we get some. We'll see. Yeah. Good stuff. 444 people. Wow. Not too shabby, especially for a Saturday. This is great. Again, for anybody who's just joining us, welcome to Paleontologizing. My name is Danny Anduza. I'm a dinosaur paleontologist out here doing dinosaur paleontology in the field, digging up a dinosaur. Let's poke around a little bit around the site, see what we got. Yeah. And did your question get answered, Docent Play? Hang on, did I miss that? What time is it now in Wyoming? It is 4:45 almost. 5 p.m.
He's almost done.
I know, right? Flying by. Dragon Buns says, anytime I get to watch you and learn new facts and finds is a good day. Appreciate what you do. Keep up the good work. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. That's why I do what I do. I'm glad you enjoy it. I'm glad you get something out of this.
Dragon buns, huh?
Yeah. So we've got Eric down here doing some gardening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
much needed.
Yeah, sorry, miss your sagebrush, but this is, I know it's been your home for a long time, but all things must come to an end eventually.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. Interesting. You know, this is a dinosaur that would have trashed so many plants during its lifetime, and now to resurrect it, we must kill more plants. The point is not to kill the plants, it's a necessary part of clearing them away so we can get to the rock underneath and find more of our dinosaur here.
It's under permit.
It is under permit, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, and question from Docent Play. Do we ever find things like geodes or gold when we're digging for dinosaurs? I've been digging dinosaurs for, I think, this is my 14th summer in the field. 13th or 14th? Need to calculate that out. I've never once found a geode or any gold. No.
This is equivalent to finding gold.
It's better, yeah.
Way better.
Yeah. So, even though you may have done that in Jurassic World evolution, that's not a thing that happens in real life. Yeah. But yeah. Yeah. And Starman says, is that jaw enough to determine what branch of the hadrosaur family tree this animal belongs to? Or don't you need cranial material for that? I was talking with Ethan about that the other day.
There are some. I'm sorry.
You go for it, yeah.
Some characters in the denary that can't help with
Uh-huh.
diagnosing. So yeah, I wouldn't.
Hopefully we have enough of the denary that we can find those characters, but yeah, I don't know. Hadrosaurs are tough. Like, again, the skeletons of these animals are pretty nondescript. Whoop. So unless you find, you know, like you could just cover up the head here, and this could be the postcrania of a Lambeosaurus, a Corythosaurus, a Parasaurolophus, something like that. They all look pretty similar. It's the head where you find the majority of the differences. I guess the ischium can be diagnostic too. Lambeosaurians often have like a prong at the end of the ischium. But yeah, they can be kind of frustrating, these guys, because you might have 80% of a skeleton and you still don't know what it is if you're just missing a few key bones. It can be troublesome. So that's why digging up everything we can from this site is going to be important. It'll be important just for IDing this animal. Is it a Lambeosaurian? Is it a what is it, you know? Yeah. Hope that makes sense. Yeah.
One big pile of dinosaur.
Yeah. Think you could carry that out in one chunk, Colin?
Probably one-armed. Yeah.
It's crazy to think how much progress we made.
I know.
Just thinking like day one that we were here, we're like here.
Yeah. The site looks totally different from what it did when I was here just 2 days ago. Some fine work, you guys.
Thank you.
And tomorrow, I'm gonna go jet off to Turtle Hill, take a little vacation, and this will be Matt LaManna's problem.
Problem it is.
Yeah. Good stuff. But yeah, somebody was asking me about the satellite dish. Let me go show that off real quick, and then we've got some other questions. Someone was asking, Giga Chad wants to know, are ornithopods rare in North America? No. Especially not in the almond formation. That's the majority, or at least the plurality of the dinosaurs we found so far are duckbills, hadrosaurs, which are a kind of ornithopod. We've got how many hadrosaur sites? We've got this one, Purple Puzzle. We've got the Dell site, the Lex site. We've got T-Bone. We've got Skull Ridge. There's probably more. So we've got at least half a dozen different duckbill sites. We've got one ceratopsid, one horned dinosaur. We've got one ankylosaur site, armored dinosaur. So yeah, it seems like the almond formation, this environment was a good place to be a duckbill. And many of them were. Yeah. Good stuff. Oh yeah. Satellite dish here. So this is highly optimized season. I've now got the small dish here. And since it's smaller, more efficient, it uses less juice, less electricity. So we've got a smaller battery pack and a smaller solar panel, and we can fit it all in 1, 2 of these weatherproof containers. So it's so much easier to hike up to the site every day. It's a long way from the road, at least to hike with a bunch of heavy gear. So I count my lucky stars that I was able to afford this, get some smaller equipment, and so far it's been working pretty well. I fashioned this together too. Since it is a smaller dish, it's got a smaller Wi-Fi radio. It's got less coverage. But if I mount it up high on some PVC pipe and an umbrella anchor, we can get much better signal if it's a little bit higher up. So I feel like I've got this down to a science now, practically. It's a well-oiled machine, this whole streaming operation here. Really, frankly, kind of easy to bring to different sites, and hopefully we'll be streaming from Turtle Hill tomorrow. Yeah. And Starma says, could you tell if it's an iguanodontid lacking the skull and thumb spike? If it would be one, though I don't know if they're still around, they're not still around. And the denary shows that it's a hadrosaur. That's not an iguanodont denary. So we know it's a duckbill dinosaur. Iguanodonts, I think, are pretty much... I don't think they're around in Laramidia at this time in Western North America. So if it were an iguanodontid, like a more primitive iguanodontian, more basal than a hadrosaur, that would be big news, but it's not. Anyhow, yeah. And Docent Place says iguanodonts aren't native to Europe. So iguanodont, that's a whole family. So iguanodon was the first one ever named, and it gave its name to the whole family. So relatives of iguanodon have been found in North America, in Europe, in Asia. We've got some, maybe in Australia, if that's what Muttaburrasaurus is. Not totally sure. They almost certainly lived in Antarctica, South America. They would have lived all over the place. Probably Africa too. I bet you we've got some Camptosaurus-like things from Africa. We certainly have Dryosaurids. They're like primitive iguanodontians. So yeah, that was a really successful group. And they gave rise to the duckbills, the hadrosaurs. So iguanodon, you can think of it almost like an early precursor to the duckbill dinosaurs. If that's not unkind to iguanodon, it just wants to be its own thing, you know? But yeah, a remarkably successful group. They spread out all across the globe during the Cretaceous, and yeah, they were around during the Jurassic too, but it wasn't until the Cretaceous period that they really kind of take over the world. Yeah, and that's an interesting story there that we're still trying to figure out. Who have we got here raiding in? Captain Aligna. Thank you for the raid. Welcome to Paleontologizing, Captain Aligna and Raiders. Veritas, Captain Aligna, Alelum, how is everybody doing? How was your stream? I hope it was excellent. Welcome to Western Wyoming. Welcome to a live dinosaur dig out here in the late Cretaceous Almond Formation. We're digging up what we have every reason to believe is a new species of duckbill dinosaur. Pretty stoked about it. There's not a whole lot of room in the quarry for me to work today, but that's okay. Just gonna walk around the guys.
It's never bugging. It's never bugging.
But yeah, got a whole bunch of bones here for you to see. We've got rib fragments. We've got femur or maybe a tibia that's enormous right here. And what is this going on over here, Nick?
Vertebrates. We've got at least 3 vertebrae. We've got 1, 2, 3, complete with ossified tendons. You can see a large one where my brush is, and one right up here. I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
But working on that. So pretty promising.
Excellent.
Hopefully.
This doesn't have to be one car-sized jacket
Yeah,
here.
I hope that my golden butt luck runs out. So hopefully there's nothing underneath.
Everywhere you're
me.
sitting, there's just bone underneath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
It sounds like one of the less popular of the James Bond films too. The man with the golden butt.
And he just keeps finding hadrosaur fossils.
But yeah, good stuff. Yeah, this might be a site that we'll need a helicopter at next year. We'll see. To all the folks who just came in. But yeah. Captain Alina. Okay, that makes sense. The G is silent. Cool. I'm glad you had a good stream, and we are indeed doing fieldwork today, as we will be doing every day for the rest of the month. I got here on May 30th, and we'll be working until June 30th. So 1 month and 1 day, I guess. 1 month and 2 days? Anyway. A good chunk of the summer I'm spending out here in Wyoming. We're digging on federal land on Bureau of Land Management public lands. We are fully permitted to work out here, and we actually had a nice little visit from some BLM folks, some Bureau of Land Management people who came here on their day off because they were so excited that we're digging up it was pretty neat. I hope they're having a good time at the Ankylosaur site right now.
I can't wait.
And Giga Chad says dinosaur air was a lot hotter, right? At times, yeah. In general, Earth's temperatures were higher during the Mesozoic, during the age of dinosaurs. But when we're talking about that, we got to remember that we're talking about a huge amount of time. So, the Mesozoic era, the age of dinosaurs, extends from 250 million years ago, 252, I think, up until 60. So that's what, like 190 plus million years? That's crazy. And so there were a lot of things that happened in there. There were hot times, there were warm times, there were cooler times. I don't know if there were ever any truly cold times globally. But it is true that during the Mesozoic, things were generally warmer than they are today. Sea levels were generally higher. And again, here, somebody asked a question about sea level. Sea levels were much higher back then. There was practically no ice on planet during this time. And so, with the way in ice caps, sea levels could get a lot higher, and they certainly did. So, whoops, come on now. There we go. Wind is blowing this around. This is North America right about this time. the middle of North America, Kansas, Nebraska, much of Colorado and areas like that, Texas, underwater at the time. This is roughly what North America would have looked like at this time. The red rectangle right there is Wyoming. And yeah, so this would have been beachfront property at the time, practically at sea level. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. Yeah. And Craigery says, is this our future? Could be. Could be. It won't be exactly the same, but, you know, if we as human beings can't figure our stuff out and we keep, you know, raising Earth's globally, there are a lot of low-lying areas along the coasts that will be, like, within the next 50 to 100 years, we will have that. We will have sea level rise. You're going to lose the city of Miami. You're going to lose much of Louisiana. Frankly, lose much of Florida. Those barrier islands off of North Carolina, you can kiss those goodbye. Yeah, much of... it's like the majority of Earth's big cities tend to be along the coasts. And, yeah. They could be, go from beachfront property to ocean bottom property. It can happen pretty quickly. It's already happening. There's already low-lying islands like Kiribati. The people there are like actively moving away because this island nation that's been their home for a super long time, it's disappearing beneath the waves. It's already happening. Yeah. And Docent Place says goodbye to the Netherlands. I mean, much of the Netherlands is already below sea level, but I don't know, if anybody in the world can figure out how to build below sea level and keep the ocean out, like, seems to be the Dutch. They seem to be pretty good at that. They've got a lot of practice. And I think the rest of the world will have to learn a lot from them. Some of the warming is already baked in, like it's already going to happen. We could be, you know, carbon zero tomorrow, and we would still have temperatures rise a certain amount and already have ice melting and sea levels rise. But we can stop the truly catastrophic stuff if we act fast. But right now it seems like the people in leadership positions around the world don't want to do that. They want to do exactly the opposite. They're like, yeah, let's blow up the world. Let's flood the coastlines. Let's make large parts of our planet uninhabitable by human beings, you know, so that way we can buy a third or fourth super yacht, you know. Don't get me started on this kind of thing. It's truly depressing and infuriating. Yeah. Isn't Venice already sinking too? I think it is, Vexy. Yeah. So long, Venice. Speedrun thermal maximum. This is Claire. Yeah. Let's bring things back to the Paleocene, Eocene thermal maximum. Oh boy. Yeah. And there you go, Alilam. Yeah. It reminds me of a famous comic. Yeah. Let me find it for you. Yeah, right there. This guy in like a tattered business suit is talking to these kids around a campfire in like a post-apocalyptic landscape, and he says, yes, the planet got destroyed, but for a beautiful moment in time, we created a lot of value for shareholders. It seems like the majority of people in power around the world have this exact attitude, where they're like, yeah, it doesn't sound so bad. Won't somebody think of the shareholders? Anywho. Yeah.
Now, how was the work at the ceratopsid site going? People from there seemed pretty depressed yesterday. You know, let's go ask one of those poor souls.
Oh boy.
So Colin here. Is the ceratopsian site the only one you've worked until yesterday?
Yes.
Like
it
in
is.
both years?
Both years.
Wow.
I was a ceratopsian.
So yeah, give us the scoop. Tell us what are things like on the front lines there?
Oh, well, last year ceratopsian was so nice. It was just sort of like this, just picking through rock, finding bone, and just relaxing, lay down all day. We have an armada of tools out there of countless picks, shovels, and thousands upon thousands of pounds of rocks being removed at a back-breaking pace. We got probably the strongest crew there. Just everybody is just going as hard as they can, taking shifts and
It's nuts.
motivating
People
each
are like
other.
losing their minds too, making ape
we-
noises and
Whenever we throw a big rock down breaks, there is an involuntary instinct to start howling. That usually picks up near the
Near the end of the
5th hour
day.
mark, yeah.
yeah.
But when you get back there, it will be magnificent to see because that wall is almost fully down.
Holy cow!
Yeah, we
can't
gotta-
wait to see. Yeah.
We're hitting our stride, and we're figuring
Nice.
out how to make the rocks bend to our will.
Yeah. So this was on, what was it? Would have been Thursday was your last day working there. So that's on hiatus right now. I don't think anybody's at the ceratopsian site today, right?
Yeah, they've been giving
Yeah.
the crew ample time to rest,
Yeah,
and
get
then
some-
to break them again.
Yeah. Got to make sure that they're all healed up before we dash them upon the rocks once more.
I'm ready to get back there with my Spartan brethren.
So that might be like tomorrow that we get started. I don't know. We'll see. But
Ken's coming. Ken's gonna want to move some rock.
oh yeah. Although Ken, I'm sure would also like to see this site or the Ankylosaur site. We'll see. And Docent Place says, do you supervise a few dig sites at the same time? Not really, no. I'm at one or another throughout the day, and I don't think I've done 2 sites in a day yet, but I probably will sometime later on in the season. Yeah. Charlie's Dragon says, break the rock, not the crew. That's what we're trying to do. That's why Colin is here right now.
The rock is so hard.
Yeah. But later on, we'll send it back to the front lines. And, yeah.
Yes, Commander.
Yeah. And Adam Frost says, when you find dinosaur bones, are they usually found articulated or are they more often scattered? They're more often scattered, yeah. It's kind of rare to find an articulated dinosaur skeleton, although there are a few. I've dug at a few sites like that. But generally, they're disarticulated. The bones are scattered around like we see here. We've got chunks of rib right here, bones up there, down here. We've got ossified tendon over there from the tail or the back. More ossified tendon right here. Nice. And more right there. Yeah, I hadn't seen that stuff yet.
That
Nice.
was earlier. Nice.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll draw up a quarry map here and be able to show you just how fallen apart this dinosaur is at some point. But for right now, around. And this is pretty typical. Like, to find one in articulation is more rare, especially at a mudstone. Yeah, it usually in like in sandstones you can sometimes get articulated specimens, but this one is pretty well fallen apart. Yeah. Which you would hope that would mean the bones are separate enough that you could pull them out individually, but nope, they fell apart, but they're still log jammed together like this. And this might be a big field jacket. Again, we might need a helicopter for it. We'll see. You guys want to wrap up in like half an hour or so?
Sounds good.
Yeah?
Whenever you're ready, boss.
Okay. I think that'll make sense. I'll probably wrap up the stream a little bit earlier than that and then help with the tear down and the tarp and everything. But, yeah. So it's not like Jurassic Park 3? No, definitely not, Raw Man. Definitely not like Jurassic Park 3. The Mayor of Space says this is like being able to see the Matrix in the code. No, so here the Matrix is in the ground, and Colin just dumped a bucket of it.
I'm beginning to believe.
The surrounding rock around the fossil, we call that the Matrix. It's just the surrounding stuff. That's what Matrix is. Yeah, that's been
a term that people have been using for what, like a century or more? And then the movie comes out and everybody thinks it means computer stuff. But, yeah. Anywho. Yeah. Starma says, what does it mean to supervise a site? What do you do other than cracking the whip and being called boss? I don't do either of those. But no, it means just kind of being there when people find new bones. You can help identify them. Like, you saw that happen earlier with the ossified tendon. I'm like, yeah, that's ossified tendon. And also just making judgment calls on when we should start jacketing, when we should apply some glue, when we should do this or do that. Working at a site like this can be really complicated, and there's a lot of uncertainty. Every single site is different. Every site has its own ups and downs, its own quirks, easy things, difficult things. So yeah, it helps to have a lot of experience and yeah, an instinct for this kind of thing. I've been pretty hands-off today because these guys generally know what they're doing. But yeah, a lot of the supervision at a site is like making decisions, you know. We should jacket this bone, be careful with that one, this kind of thing, you know. Yeah. Judgment calls on when to leave a decision to someone else. Exactly, Charlie's Dragon, yeah. Yeah. Do we have other questions? Yeah. Mooncloud says, given the time periods involved, I imagine the variables are nearly endless. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and in the almond formation, it's interesting. We've got like so many different kinds of preservation. Other geological formations are sometimes not quite as variable. Although, what am I saying? I don't know. If you were to go to the Morrison, there's going to be so many different kinds of bone preservation. Sandstones, mudstones, siltstones, etc. It's, yeah, I don't know. The point is, there's a lot involved. There's a lot of variables. There's a lot of different stuff you got to consider. Yeah. And, question from No Turn On Red. Is it assumed that these animals got trapped in a flood and then preserved for all to find? No. This is probably not flood deposits here. This is probably like... It could be overbanked from like a river flooding its banks, but I'm guessing this is probably from... or it could even be like an oxbow lake or something like that. I know people use the word when they're talking about the preservation of different dinosaurs, but that's... I don't know. I think it's a little bit overused, to be honest. Just in my experience. A lot of stuff where like... A lot of sites that I've worked where I've done like micro sed logs trying to figure out what exactly is the depositional environment. It's often an oxbow lake or a lake bottom or a stream bed or something like that. But I don't know. Maybe this will be part of a like a you know, local seasonal flood. That definitely did happen quite a bit. Yeah. Anywho. And given sand and mud, this could be a deltaic coastline. It could very well be, Jody Fish, yeah. Yeah, and especially since it's so near the coast, too. That makes a lot of sense, I think. Now, Starma says, what kind of rock do you need for skin impressions? Is the rock you're digging in a good candidate? It's not, really. So ours is kind of a concreted mudstone. There's sand and silt in there, too. Nice channel sandstone is where you find good skin impressions, from what I understand. Like, that's your best kind of depositional environment if you want to get dinosaur skin. And this is not that. A lot of the dinosaur mummies you may have heard of, like Dakota the dinosaur mummy. Dakota is from I think a channel sand. So that's from a river where you've got lots of fine-grained sediment. It's good kind of matrix for preserving stuff like skin. Yeah. And see you later, Giga Chad. Thanks for being here. Thanks for your good questions. I hope to see you around soon. Yeah. Need really fine silt for high enough resolution to get skin impressions, says Charlie's Dragon. In some cases, yeah. Generally, fine-grained sediments, really, really small grains. You know, some of you have probably been to a beach with like really coarse sand or even gravelly sand. We're not talking like that. We're talking really fine, soft sand. That's generally the best kind of place to get skin impressions. Yeah. Anywho. Yeah, good stuff. And were dinosaurs territorial, says Stevie Seal, like you only find T-Rex in Texas, for example. Well, that's not territoriality, that's just having a narrow band, like, ecologically where you can live. Like, were dinosaurs highly localized? Is that what you mean? That's a hard one to answer, because most dinosaurs that have been named are known from just one skeleton. And usually it's not very complete. So it might be just a handful of bones. So if we only have one specimen of a particular kind of dinosaur, we don't know whether or not they are very wide-ranging. Maybe they were and maybe they weren't. It's hard to say. Trying to figure out the geographic ranges for dinosaurs is tricky because a lot of it is sample bias. It's like, well, maybe nobody's looked in that part of the world in rocks of the right age. And if you were to look there, maybe you might find them. You know, we just have very incomplete information for a lot of these guys, and that makes things tricky for trying to make inferences about geographical range and that kind of thing. Yeah. Although that being said, I could imagine dinosaurs that required a particular kind of resource, like, you know, meat-eating dinosaurs that, you know, they need hunting grounds. Being territorial, certainly. In the same way that, like, birds today are territorial, or crocodilians can be territorial. Both of those groups are related to dinosaurs. Crocs are like cousins to dinosaurs. Birds literally are dinosaurs. And we have territoriality in both of those groups. So it's easy to imagine different dinosaurs being territorial, especially if they're non-migratory, and especially if they need like a particular thing in a geographical space. But that being said, it's a difficult thing to actually demonstrate using evidence in the fossil record, you know? Hope that makes sense. Yeah. And are all the sites this type of rock? Asks Starma. Thank you, Jody Fish. We are finding a lot of this in the almond, where you've got kind of highly variable rock, and then you've got big concretions over the bones. That is something we're seeing a lot of, for sure. Yeah. But not all the sites are like this. Turtle Hill, for instance, is not much like this at all. We might go see that tomorrow. I'll be excited to show you. Yeah. Adam Frost says, do you know roughly how many dinosaurs have been found? You mean here in the Almond Formation, or you mean globally? Here in the Almond Formation, we've got at least, 24 different sites, I think, with a good number of specimens. Globally, there's about 1,000 or 2,000 different dinosaurs that have been named. In terms of like dinosaur specimens, thousands that have been found. Maybe hundreds of thousands. Yeah. Most of those are pretty incomplete, but we do have, I guess at this point, hundreds upon hundreds, maybe thousands of dinosaur skeletons that are fairly complete. And they'll be found like, a bunch of them together, like all the Coelophysis at Ghost Ranch, or all these Psittacosaurs from China, stuff like that, Yeah. Inachu, thank you for the gift subs there. 20 gift subs from Inachu. Again, my hat goes off to you, Inachu. Thank you for your generosity there. There's 20 viewers who won't have to watch any ads at all for the next month. We'll be done with our work here in Wyoming before any of them have to see a single ad on this channel. So thank you, Inachu. I appreciate your support. That means a lot to me. That's lovely. Yeah. Good stuff. But yeah. And Most Toxic says, not to be disrespectful, but don't the others get mad that they are working and you're just streaming standing? I hope not. I don't know. yeah, there's not a whole lot of room to work at this site today. And I'm one of the only people on this permit, and so I kind of had to be here today. I also drove some of them here in my car, so like, I don't know, I'm definitely pulling my weight to a certain extent. I wish there were more room at the quarry alongside them, but yeah, I don't know. On a crew like this, everybody got their role, everybody, you know, you're working while other people are resting and that kind of thing. It is what it is, you know. Yeah, a couple years ago, 2023, we raised through, you know, this community. We raised over, what was it, $8,000 from generous viewers like you to be able to conduct this field work. So, yeah, it's yeah, I like to think I'm pulling my weight.
Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah. And most of the people working this site are volunteers. We're all volunteers, Kodali. Nobody's been conscripted, and nobody's getting paid. Except for me, I guess. And see any horses or anything? We didn't see any this morning, Gary and Kellis, but maybe on the way back we'll see some wild horses. They've been out around a lot. Close to the truck sometimes, close to the car. And any recent news from St. George? Not that I've heard, give them now. Will be an author on an abstracted SVP this year in Birmingham, UK. I'm going to be, you know, one of the authors on a presentation about the work in St. George, and so I'll be hearing some news about that soon, hopefully, and I'll fill you in. Yeah. Anywho, with that being said, it's time to wrap this up, everybody. I've got to go help take down the site. We got to tarp things over. We've got to clean up our gear, all that good stuff. So let's find somebody else on Twitch currently. Is doing some streaming. Maybe somebody even doing some science. That would be pretty cool. Let's see. Oh, there's Joshua Canupe, Paleo Stream. Well, well, well. Let's go right into there. That'll be good. There we go. Raid Paleo Stream. My phone even auto completed it. Beautiful. Shoot, are we? Hype train is approaching. Now we gotta wrap this up. I'm sorry. Here, how do we clear this part? Chat. Shoot, I don't have it. Since we've got a hype train, I can't see the... Gosh darn it. What are we doing here? We are... Yeah. There we go. Turn the volume down there. Yeah, everybody, thank you so much for everything today. Again, it's wonderful getting all of these great questions, being able to answer them, being able to show you what it's like to dig dinosaurs in the field here. It's such a privilege. Thank you to the moderators who make this possible by keeping this chat a safe and welcoming community for everybody. Thank you to the subscribers and the cheerers and the gifters. Thank you so much for making this possible financially. I wouldn't be able to do it without you. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody who asks questions, everybody who types into the chat, everybody who shares their enthusiasm. Thank you to the raiders and the followers and the lurkers too. Even everybody who doesn't type into the chat, you know, you're still getting those viewership numbers up, and that helps more people find the channel, and it just keeps this machine going. So thank you for your viewership. I'll be streaming again tomorrow with any luck from around the same time, hopefully 2 p.m. Might be at Turtle Hill tomorrow. You'll have to tune in and see. But for right now, we're going to go raid Paleo Stream, who is a paleo artist from Germany, and he streams the creation process for paleo art. You're going to learn a lot from him, I hope.